Welcome to Ship Chasing, the preeminent show that covers all things high-stakes fantasy football. I'm Peter Overzet, your host, here with my co-host who's here every single week, Hasan Rahim. How are we doing, Hasan?
We're doing fantastic here. We've been pretty blessed to where we are, and we're having a good season and we're having fun. I see a lot of complaints and a lot of people complaining, but guys like us,
Well, I think something people forget is you helped build this show brick by brick, waiver pick by waiver pick. And, look where we are now, Hasan. People, getting rid of their Wednesday night plans just to come watch us do this show.
Yeah, I mean, it's humbling, right? Especially when they come and have a chance to see me interview you about how to do this.
Would you like to introduce our special guest tonight?
Yeah, do we have any?
We do. We have two.
Oh yeah, we do. So I guess maybe the other. We've got 2/5 of the Pentagon who are missing. So I guess maybe Ben Gretsch and Pat Crane.
Oh, welcome.
Wow.
Nice intro there.
Guys. What is happening?
Oh, I don't know. Hasan shows up on time and other people don't. I think that's what's happening. How we doing, fellas?
Good.
Doing good. My headphones aren't working, so I'm going on mute.
I was late because I was sitting in the waiting room while I was listening to Pat's KJ Osborne slander that Leone had shared in our little chat, which
I was laughing because I just saw the back-to-back tweets. One was Daigle pumping KJ Osborne as an ad, and then the next was Pat funning it. I was like, NBC Sports Edge, who am I supposed to believe here?
That's actually really funny. It says KJ Osborne's a high-stakes waiver wire ad that could pay dividends. And then the very next tweet is Pat Crane explains he won't come close to matching Adam Thielen's production.
Pat, are you having technical difficulties?
I am. I'm going to back out and come back in.
All right. It's all right. This is why we normally send our guests kind of a little technical show sheet on how to do StreamYard and stuff. But Hasan, did you forget to send that over to Pat?
Yeah, that's definitely my fault. I definitely forgot to send that. I apologize. I know it's his first time on the show and everything. I should have made it easier on him.
It's okay. Why don't you set the table though? Let the people know how we're doing, because we penta-manage a couple squads that are looking pretty spicy right now.
Yeah. So first let's start with the KFFC team. If you guys remember, that was just the craziest draft. I can pull up the draft board if anyone's interested to walk down memory lane with us.
Please do. I'll screen share it in the hopper.
I was just muted and trying to make a joke, but I
have no idea how to screen share. I apologize. This is.
I thought you've been.
Penta-managed is definitely an overstatement because we've basically left it to Hasan, who's done a fantastic job, obviously, because we're in the playoffs.
What are you talking about? Oh my God, there we go.
Well, we've definitely chatted all year, but you've done a great job staying on top of the waivers and things like that.
No, I'll be honest, this really is like a true 5-man effort because you need input and you need people to talk you into and out of what the fuck you're going to be doing on waivers. And I'll just pull up an email exchange that we had way back at the start of the season that really set the tone.
Is this where Blair spent all of our money on Ramondre Stevenson?
I would pull that one up too, but this is
the best. So that's the best email conversation I think in the history of email.
That is aged pretty nicely.
Did he go back in and raise it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we were like, guys, this is pretty wild. And Hasan goes out to talk to Blair. And then Blair was like, yeah, you guys are right. Let's jack it up.
So for those of you guys who want to see, this is it. This is the drunkest draft you're ever going to see. And just some notes here. So Joe Mixon, no, this is the third round reversal. So keep in mind that's Joe Mixon at the 303. And here's our first running back, Javonte Williams, who did pretty okay. And then you can just revel in this, right?
This was a bit of a friends and family draft, right? I know Willis was in this draft. Was Gormanji and
Gormanji? Yep. Gormanji also did well in I believe he was the regular season top point scorer.
I also just want to let you guys know, and I don't know if you guys have been following the TOC, the Owners Club, which is like the NFT DFS stuff. Gormanji shipped week 13 and won a seat to the Miami Live final.
Nice.
So Gormanji continues to just absolutely crush.
That's massive.
I have to set my lineup again.
Yeah, great.
I bought some NFTs and don't set my lineups for that.
We gotta get you set up.
So I mean, again, this was like really. We got help here, right? Like we got Josh Norris who talked us here into Damian Harris. He talked us into Kadarius Toney, who we wavered away. We got DJ Chark got hurt. We got Henry Ruggs. KJ Hamler got hurt. Michael Pittman emerged. We lost despite getting Gus Edwards here, it didn't matter because Gus Edwards is out for the season. And that's just our team. Elijah Mitchell actually got drafted in this one.
Blair, who are the guys we want to take? Because this is the draft, right? That you and I kept getting 3-2 outvoted, and then on the next draft, when you're like, we're gonna do another draft, and hopefully me and Ben can get some of the guys we wanted.
I know. I wish I could remember.
I can't remember either. Probably better picks. All the bad ones were the ones you guys wanted, and then the good ones that we didn't take were the ones that we were thinking.
Well, we didn't let you have any picks, so that can't be true.
he got us on a Michael Pittman, but just to wrap this up real quick, we shipped this against Shelley. He was up by 0.5 points going into Sunday Night Football. We had Javonte going up against Jerry Jeudy, and we were fortunate to ship the league. So now we're in the main event bracket for KFFC as well, and in FFBC.
Wait, so
we are.
That was the championship. There's an extra week in the.
No, so playoffs.
Schedule.
No, they're not. Playoffs start now. Week 14. Waivers are completely closed for KFFC.
How's our team looking for the playoffs? Did we get our house in order?
We did a good job.
Who's on our team?
Who's on our team?
I thought we beat Shelley in the semis. That's even better.
Do some more screen shares, just for the audience. I'm very aware.
Yeah, just for the audience.
But tonight we wanted to show the chat our team, and by show the chat I mean show us as well.
Yeah, Pete's active in the chat.
Show the private chat.
Yeah. So here's what we got. We got Joe Burrow, CPAT, Javonte, Jamar Chase, Amari Cooper, Pittman on a bye, Justin Jefferson, Pitts, Indy DSD, suck up, and then here's our bench. We got
Jake Fromm.
Yeah, baby.
That works for us.
Yeah, we were ahead of the curve on this one.
So our roster now is locked for the final stretch.
Yep, totally locked.
Okay. But you got us 2 defenses, you got us 2 kickers. Our house seems in order.
Yeah.
Oh, it seems very in order.
We only have the one tight end. Hopefully, Kyle Shits doesn't shit.
Yeah, that's been the worry. Trust me.
Well, was it? Because here we are.
I mean, my kind of thesis is Russell Gage is emerging as a superstar that's going to pull attention off of Kyle Pitts now.
It would be like such irony if we didn't win the KFFC main event because of Kyle Shits, who Hasan put his stamp on in like May. Then we just ride with only him.
It's I think really what worries me the most here about like Shits is also his first name Kyle. I was thinking about this, right? Like it's probably the third worst name.
Go on.
So it's probably like the third worst name, right? Like Connor's probably the worst one. And then like Connor.
What do you have against Connors?
I don't know.
Connor Allen's is a great dude.
He's the exception to the
Connor's
rule.
A pretty solid name. All right.
He's
What's
the exception
second
to the
worst
rule.
name?
Connor's a pretty shitty name. I'll give him that.
The second shitty name is probably Kevin. So like this is probably like
That's my dad's name.
Well, sorry to your dad.
I like these takes. Keep going.
And then so the third one's like, I guess.
What do you have against the K sound? It's
yeah,
Connor,
you don't like
Kevin and Kyle. You're just all about it.
And then I guess like 3B is like Brian, but like that's not too bad. But like Kyle is like that's a pretty tough name for an NFL star. You know what I mean? Superstar, like just going back to like the old scouting takes of like what your face is and what your name is. Like I think it's
That's an
it's
old
tough,
scouting
man.
take. What your face
Yeah,
is
you
and
sure
what
that
your
was
name
like-
is?
Face.
Oh, actually, a
Yeah,
good face is
The
a
good
thing.
face is a thing,
Sam
and so
Darnold
yeah.
classically did not have a good face.
How else
according
did
to
Zach
one
Wilson
scout.
get drafted top 5 if not for that face?
it's the face,
I
man.
wouldn't say
It's the
he has a
face.
good face.
He's
I don't know.
good looking, dude.
Some people
It's
just
not
like
attractiveness. It's like having kind of the aura of a star is what the good face is.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna pull up a photo of Zach Wilson. You're gonna tell me this guy doesn't have the aura of a star?
I like this Skylar sucks take. Like that's really random. You must know somebody named Skylar, and also, yeah, that name does suck. I think.
Tell
Skylar's
me
the
that's
worst
not
name.
the charisma of the star.
No,
This
it's
is-
he's all scrunchy. That's not the good face.
This is a future.
He looks like he's
Joe
in a
Namath.
Disney remake
No.
of you know.
pull
some
up the one of
football,
him
yeah.
getting drafted where he's on the phone with the tie and everything, where he looks like, yeah, I'm boasting here.
Yeah, I don't like the Zach Wilson aesthetic FUD from Pat right now. I mean, let's give the guy one thing.
I mean, obviously the good face like leads to good results. So clearly he doesn't have a good face because he's been absolute shit.
Hang on.
But
Is that
just-
wait, time out? Is that why the Jets took him? Did they take the Sam Darnold bust face issue seriously?
That's better, but
and overcorrect to the cutest looking QB they can find this time around?
look at that
looks like he's-
Dan.
he looks like he's going on The Bachelorette.
Look at that Dan, right? Like
he does.
this is-
He does look like this is he just got out of the limo
He
to
did
go
just
meet the
get out of the
bachelor. But that's not a bad thing.
Oh man, what's his backstory? He's a
Preparing
fitness
for his next career.
Again, I don't think you're looking for the
Come
same
on.
qualities that scouts are. That's all I'm saying.
CrossFit enthusiast and Mormon. What else do you need?
Yeah.
He's walking up to the bachelorette. He has a goldfish in a fishbowl, and he's walking up to her and he's saying, "Of all the fish in the sea, you're gonna pick me." And he sets the bowl down. He goes on
Yeah.
to win it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so
yeah,
obvious.
I don't know that he wins it. I think he gets final 3, but then he's gunning for the
She
Bachelor,
meets his
obviously.
mom. She meets his mom and is like, "No,
It's not gonna work. He gets that's
hometown
100%
dates
right.
go real bad."
That was a great season.
It was. Hasan, we get the show back on track. I thought you were hosting. You want to introduce
Yeah.
Blair?
Yeah, Blair, one of the geniuses behind our Ramondre pick here. Blair, have you had a chance to set waivers yet? All right, so we're gonna be doing this live because we haven't set waivers yet, but we need to get our house in
What are
order.
waivers?
There you go.
What are waivers
Um,
again?
We have $55 left, and we got to spend them real quick.
Well, I mean, can we like spend a little bit more on Ramondre?
Trying.
You want to
Can we drop him and pick him back up?
Can we like go back and put a little more on him?
Did we
Yes.
get him? We got him, right? By a lot, if I recall. Wasn't the next bid like some order of magnitude less than our bid?
Let me pull up that email because it is.
I
Still
don't know
fine.
that he was bid on by anyone else, and we spent like $500 on
Oh my god!
it. It was insane. It was truly insane.
Blair, how has your season been going? How have you been doing, man?
Oh, my season's been. Well, I spent $500 on Ramondre Stevenson, so that's how my season's going.
Kyle Dvorak he saw the season that you guys watched as well.
Oh, the Zach Wilson season, The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
That's right. He 100% accuses The Bachelorette of knowing one of the guys before the show, but he does it behind her back and then denies it to her face.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
That was classic.
It was a good
That
one.
was yeah.
Blair, did you co-manage a team with Sean again this year, a main event team?
I did, and we drafted Christian McCaffrey with the first overall pick.
I remember that team because I was like, this is a juggernaut. You gave the 0 RB boys Christian McCaffrey. It was like GG, but then I assume it went downhill.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up.
Well, here's a Ramondre bid history. I wonder if your Ramondre bid is ludicrous enough. Would you think of going to like 550? I pulled it back from 689 so I can push it up. Up to 587. Maybe we slightly overbid.
I don't care.
The next highest bid is $1.
Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Our league,
Slightly overbid.
Hasan's email is, our league is asleep at the wheel. Let's win this thing.
And you know what? That turned out to
And
be
we won.
right.
And then
There's
we
a
did one.
there's a drunk guy at the wheel saying the rest of the league is asleep at the wheel. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I forget.
Do you have other emails from? Is there another thread? Because I feel like we sent you an email ahead of time, being like, we might want to lower this bid.
Yeah, so there's like a whole like so what it actually kind of came out a little late. So Ben sent this out here. Can't see bids, throwing this out there, blah blah blah. Car Phillies got beat up. Love it. Feel free to cancel those $1 bids. I put in a ludicrous bid for Ramondre because that was when we came out, like the idea that James might be done for the season.
Yeah.
And so just sort of go in, and we were kind of discussing like $1 bids and so on and so forth. And then it kind of, I think you guys were probably recording or close to recording when it came out that James White was actually done. So we went back in and readjusted our bid way up.
Okay.
And that's where we got what we did. But it just in hindsight, it just at the time was just like, oh god, we're on a complete island here. But who cares? Like, let's win. But
We won. You were right. They were asleep at the wheel.
I mean,
Right.
Where are we at? Where are we at?
we're in the finals.
Okay, cool.
never in doubt, Ben. Never in doubt.
So we actually were fortunate because like we were, so the FBC, the FFBG, the FBC league was one where we tried to go really heavy for Elijah Mitchell week 1 and we didn't win him, but I had like a couple of contingency bids for CPAT and both. And that we were kind of fortunate to get him for like $25 or whatever, like at the start, and he's really been the guy. So here's our team. If anybody wants me to share,
I found the thread too. Pat, your reply was, "We definitely overpaid, but honestly, it only takes one guy to be paying attention to lose him. So fuck it."
That one guy would have to be Blair, multi-accounting and
Yeah.
also in the league.
I
I mean, let's just say it. Ramondre looks fucking awesome every time he.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
He looks great.
Awesome.
Pat was not going to be the low guy. He was like, he comes back, he's like, "I'm glad we did it. I would have went higher."
so it's just a bummer that we don't have him this week because like we'd be playing him over Zeke, right? Like
Wait, why
easily.
don't we have him? Oh, he's on a bye.
Week 14 bye.
Yeah.
Zeke's been on a bye since like week 7.
Yeah, no. I have Gallup slotted in there, and that's the issue is because we've got Debo down here, and he is probably not going to play. He's been carrying us. Anyway, but if anyone's interested, I can share the draft board if you'd like. But long story short, we lucked out last week winning a real snooze fest of a game, and we're in the finals playing against a team that we have beaten once before. But it's a battle of ideology here. If anyone's interested,
Okay.
Yeah,
on the left, we've got like on the right, you've got us, your hometown heroes. You know, modified 0 RB. Well, I guess it's 0 RB with Zeke. On the left, you've got your typical FFPC grinder, more running backs on his roster than he can play. I mean, look at this: Donta Foreman, Chuba Hubbard, rostered only 3 wide receivers as he heads into the playoffs.
That's
Like that's a miracle. Van Jefferson, Chris Godwin, and Devonta Smith are his
Ben.
3.
This
Yeah,
is like,
I mean,
we have to win this.
he
And
better
Jefferson
get 1
put us on the
point.
ground? No way.
I need him to get 1 point bad.
Yeah, right. And he's got 3 tight ends, Tyler Conklin, Logan Thomas, and Rob Gronkowski. 3 defenses, right? So Tampa Bay, Buffalo, and Arizona.
Look,
Like,
gotta play matchups. Gotta play matchups.
3 quarterbacks, and like 500 running backs. Like James Conner, Naji Harris, Antonio Gibson, AJ Dillon can't even play Chuba or Donta Foreman. So what's it matter?
Literally only has 3 receivers. Can you
Hassan,
imagine?
have you started thinking about the Boomer Opto for the FFPC playoff challenge?
Just updating the algos right now. Just waiting to see who gets in, and then we can hit optimize and see what comes out.
What kind of market research are you doing these days for the Boomer Opto?
I'm
Heading
trying
to Sizzler.
Sizzler, Ponderosa, like going to all the early bird specials. Bob Evans, Boston Market.
Yeah. I mean, do you think we're going to see 4 running backs in the Boomer Opto this year?
Oh God, I think so. This might be the year. I think Fat Lenny's going to be like probably chalk. Fat Lenny
hang on. The Boomer Opto people love Gronk and Brady.
Yeah,
though.
Gronk.
This is going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
It's not. Yeah, it's going to be Gronk.
Gronk or
Brady? Brady, I meant, yeah.
They love.
I don't know. I don't think it's Brady.
I mean, he was the QB last year, so like a lot of people are going to play him just based on that, right?
But it was partly because he had a decent shot of making the Super Bowl, and he didn't have a bye, so there was like some reason.
We'll have this year. Well, not for sure, but right now he's not in bye position.
The meme in my head is the classic meme of the guy looking over his shoulder at the new girl, except it's the Boomer Opto, and he's looking over his shoulder at 4 different things. It's like Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski. The Tampa Bay Bucks are the Boomer Opto rolled into one. Those guys love every fucking one of those players.
My guess right now would be Fournette, because you're looking at teams that like you're not going to be excited to play the Cardinals running back. You're not going to be. We might not know what to do with the 49ers are in. The Packers aren't going to be that fun to play. The Bills.
Oh my God, is Zeke going to be in the optimal?
Oh, no chance, dude. He's going to be like.
Are they going to? I feel like they probably got converted to Lamb, which sucks for us.
Yeah.
Oh, Damian Harris is going to be. So wait,
Damian Harris is the Boomer. That's a lock, Ben.
That's a
lock.
Like Evans or Godwin are going to be the play for the Bucks for us, right?
For us, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. But I could honestly see some Gronk potentially. I don't know.
Dude, Ramondre, there's going to be some Ramondre in our future. I can tell you that right now.
Oh, God, yes.
I'm telling you right now, we are going to be heavy on Ramondre.
But I actually wonder if New England D ends up getting pretty chalky. Because people aren't going to – it's either like Harris or New England D, It's
crazy, too. Like, you look at the Super Bowl futures right now for the Patriots, and they are right up there at the top. And then you go look in any market. Like, I was looking at the TOC stuff because they're having a playoff contest, and they're trading at like a fourth of the price of all the other teams in the playoffs. Like, so they will be a really interesting one, and no one's going to want to play, to your point, QB and wide receiver from them. So it's going to be all running back and defense. Maybe someone Galbrain's a tight end. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But if that futures market stuff holds up by the time we get to the playoffs, people won't play the D because they'll be afraid to just have their defense, 2-3 rounds in.
That's why Harris, I'm calling it right now, 75% projected ownership for Damian Harris.
I like it, man. I think it's a great call.
So the Bengals I'm looking at teams that are in. The Bengals are also in. I hope they make it because that'll be a mix in 60%er, and we'll get to play whoever we want for the passing game.
Yeah. Evan, Pat will be sharing his spreadsheet on our stream when we have FFPC playoff week. So
yes,
that answer will be revealed, I promise you. He's going to be recording live from a speakeasy in Brooklyn.
I can't wait.
So the one thing I wanted to get your guys' take on is a little bit is, so like we're really relying on Jamar Chase to Joe Burrow. Actually, Pete, if you want to go back to our matchup, I wanted to show how
will you share that again?
Yeah, absolutely. So because the DFS bros are gonna love this because of how heavily correlated this matchup is. Not like for us and for him.
This is notoriously a DFS show, so
it is. Yeah, we're out here. We
alienated the boomers, and now we're bringing in the DFS bros.
so our opponent has so here you can see how thin it is right now. So it's 153 to 152. He's got Kyler, James Conner, and Van Jefferson from the same Monday night game, and then he's got Godwin and Gronk and Tyler Bass and Tampa Bay defense from the same. Like he's like pretty much all in on like basically two games.
Because he's trying to eliminate the number of things he has to get right. If he correctly identifies these 2 games, he's gonna really be cooking.
I mean, look, if you've got like 3 wide receivers and one of the 3 is Van Jefferson, I can tell you are definitely either Galbraining to the extreme or you've got nothing up there. Like you're that meme where, like but the 50 percentile is like crying, and like on the one end you got the guy with the hood, and then you got like the person who looks like me, like the guy who had no idea what's happening.
Are we correlated at all? What do we got?
Well,
Yeah,
well, thanks to Debo not going, we lose that Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow,
the
Debo.
Chase
Oh,
Debo
oh,
mini would have been.
man.
I know.
We
like-
totally planned that out. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
We're kind of correlated to Kyler because we've got Matt Prater going.
That's a boomer correlation, right?
That's such a good correlation. Hey! The only reason it makes sense is because Cliff Kingsbury fucking loves field goals. All right,
He does.
Like, that's the only thing he loves more than anything else. And just trying to figure out, like for the most part, I mean, we don't necessarily need to be all that correlated. We've got, I mean, that's kind of what happens when you get your wide receivers right.
Hang on.
Yeah, Zeke Gallup though. Gotta love that.
Hey, Gretch, I'll put this guy in a 5-minute timeout. Just say the word.
No, he can have his fun.
You're gonna let him say that? I'm putting him in a 5-minute timeout. I'm offended. All right. He's going in a 5-minute timeout. You can't just come on this show and say, I can't believe you just let that go, Gretch. I had to lay it down.
Look, man, Van Jeff's elite. He's going to the Hall of Fame. It still sucks, but it's you gotta own some things every now and then.
What was the heartwarming story about Van Jefferson that someone shared in our chat?
Leone. I can't
Leone
remember.
loves riling you up about Van Jefferson.
He loves, yeah. Well, and he did have a good little story that he's like a fun guy. He was like, how can you not root for this guy? Because there was some I can't remember what the story was, but there was some story this week.
I was reading.
I was
One
trying
of
to
my-
find it, but me and Leone had about a 7-hour conversation about waivers today, so it's way up in our chat. So
That's how it goes. Pat Corain he's down bad. He's struggling here. Brooklyn
Sure.
Wi-Fi.
I sure am. I don't know if you can even hear me, but I am
We can
frozen.
hear you.
Look at my frozen face.
I also want to say Blair and Pat both wearing the old school RotoViz hoodies in 2 different colorways. Pretty cool.
That's right.
I'd show you it if I wasn't frozen.
I did want to pull up a line while we're talking about Van Jefferson from my favorite Substack here. Signal Van Jefferson 20% targets per route run over the past 4 games, continues to run a ton of routes, still sucks. Gretch, I mean, I thought the takeaway was going to be pretty impressive, but still sucks.
yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself, really. No, I mean, look, he's drawn a few more targets these last couple of weeks, so good for him. That's been my big thing. I mean, like, if you want to actually have a serious conversation about DJ Moore and Van Jefferson, look at their targets per out run, because Moore's been way, way better than him at earning volume, but obviously way better team situation for Van Jeff. But yeah, he had a pretty big drop this week. He wore one off the face mask last week. That's Van Jefferson I'm talking about. He continues to be terrible. He's like one of the worst graded PFF receivers who's run as many routes as he has. He's like top 25 in the NFL in routes run. Like, they just run him out there constantly on this really good offense. They really want him to be a thing. But as far as like grades and drops and stuff, that doesn't really matter ultimately. He's been terrible.
My
So,
video
yeah,
is
he's
just a
scoring
history
fantasy
of
points.
me.
What's that?
Sorry, I'm very
Pat.
annoyed by my video, which is like a history of everything I've done on the show. It's not
Pat's
live.
struggling. Pat, fix your camera. Fix your camera.
It's not the camera, it's the internet. You can see things I said like 3 minutes ago.
Gretch, does it if we're having a legitimate discussion, are you bullish on Odell Beckham if he's healthy in this
Yeah.
offense?
Yep. Yeah, he still maintains strong targets per out run in Cleveland. His yards per target and stuff like that have not been strong. But yeah, I mean, that was sort of my take when they brought him in, was like, and honestly, I feel like they brought him in before Woods got hurt. I mean, how kind of hilarious. Like, I think that was a pretty clear indication they were souring on Van a little bit. And then Robert Woods goes down, and well, now you have an opportunity for Van to keep playing. But
Well, I mean, if you go back to that first game when they acquired OBJ, like Van Jefferson and Higbee drew the same amount of targets, and they were both pretty dog shit. Van Jefferson dropped like multiple sitters to where like I legitimately thought Sean McVay might strangle him to death. I was ready to like find out where Van Jefferson's parents are, and it's like, hey, your kid is in danger, and he earned it. He has earned this.
Oh my God.
And he earned it.
He earned it.
I don't know, man. If you're gonna drop like just these sitters as a professional like NFL athlete, you probably earn when the coach is like, you're going into the doghouse or whatever. And I guess in this case, it's just like the dungeon where he's gonna like end your life.
Gretch, you want a 5-minute timeout?
Where does
for
Van
saying
rank for you in terms of
That is a clear penalty box right
All right,
there.
you're going.
Jalen Guyton, we can't even have in the discussion here.
If anyone else, Berto,
No,
I accidentally legitimately blocked him. Now I have to,
No.
And what's funny is
Can you unblock him?
that guy.
We're sorry, Berto.
On today's episode of Stealing Bananas, I had a whole rant about Jalen Guyton. So it sounds like he's been listening to Stealing Bananas as well. Probably a fan. Like
now I have to go deep into the settings and
yeah,
unblock
you gotta
him.
unblock him, man. You gotta unblock him.
Fine, I'll take care of you, Berto. Relax. All right, Pat, what's going on with your internet, man?
Oh, can he still watch? I thought when you blocked him, he was like, you're not even allowed to watch.
You just
No, I
noticing
think
that my
you can
internet's
watch. You just
ridiculous.
no. I mean, I mean, what happened? Murphy
I don't know.
chewing through
It
the
was bad
cables?
for the podcast today. Honestly, it might have been Murphy's been very anxious today, trying to get me to play with him. As soon as I go on a podcast, he wants me to stop and play with him. So could be Murphy. I don't know. It was doing this during the Good Football Show today, which was a pain. It's just look. You can see all these things I did 3-4 minutes ago.
It's amazing.
I'm not doing any of this now. I'm just sitting here talking to you. But
That's voiceover and seeing him like.
Is everyone trying to get blocked tonight? Is that the new game?
Don't test me. I'm in a great mood. I only got 3 more signals to write for the year. Like we're winding down. I'm like, I see the end. It's been a long year of trolling, but
Berto,
3 more signals.
I've-
Do you not do one? What you don't do
after week 14, 15, 16. I don't do one after week 17 for week 18.
Berto, you're free. I just
Oh, that's
removed you. There was
genius.
about 6 different webcams that I had blocked in there in Berto Genesis, so you're free. I mean, fine. Anyone have a take on Treadwell? I'll allow it. Gretch is in a great mood. Talk about Treadwell.
If he gets tight end eligibility, we're in.
Can
I have no thoughts on the Quan Treadwell. I mean, can he be a thing? Does anyone have thoughts on him? I don't know.
what team he plays the Jags, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So my best guess on Quan Treadwell is that Urban Meyer has done everything he can to get fired and yet still isn't. It's like Office Space. And I think the reason that Urban Meyer is trying so hard to get fired is because Trevor Lawrence really sucks. He looks like he should be retired,
sucks.
like Andrew Luck. Yeah, he's terrible. He's just really bad. That's the take.
Free Berto. Berto, if you're here, write something, man. The people want to see that you're still able to type.
Blair, I want you to rank. It's 2024. We're heading in to a fantasy season. I want you to rank the 5 quarterbacks from the 2021 draft class for fantasy purposes in 2024.
Okay, 2024. We're gonna go Fields, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and then like way down Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
Oh,
He also didn't mention Mike White about Trevor Lawrence.
Oh yeah, right, of course.
Anyone
was
else
great.
have different rankings there?
No, that's exactly how I'm looking at
I'd
it.
go-
Someone please flip Zach Wilson and Trey Lance for my own sanity.
I would go Lance. I'm still Lance 1. I think he's going to be Kyle Shanahan's starter eventually. And whatever you want to say about Fields, and I think Fields is like way better than what he's shown. I'm excited about him long term, like at least compared to what he's shown. I don't like the fact that we're going to have to play coach roulette. And who are we hoping for exactly? Like besides Brian Daboll, which his star doesn't look brighter than it did last year, right? They're having a lot of struggles, the Bills. Like, what if they hire like a Matt Patricia type? What if they hire like a Tom Coughlin type?
In Jacksonville?
Their owner,
in Chicago.
Their ownership cares about 100-year-old streak of not firing a coach in season. If you manage like that, you're probably going to hire some idiot.
They're going to need, like, let's get someone who's going to restore the culture of the Bears. Like, that's what they're going to do. And then they're going to hire some like Daryl Bevell equivalent. Like, it's just
you're ruining my night because this is so fucking accurate. Like, this is just like
we don't want to play. This is a lottery. We don't want a ticket in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can talk yourself into it being Bieniemy or Dayball, but like those guys aren't going to be. They were bigger names in terms of potential hires last year, right? The Chiefs, the Bills, like I think Scott Turner's done really good work this year. I don't think he's going to get hired as a head coach. He's already an OC, so he'd have to be a head coach. Like, there's just, I don't think Kellen Moore is going to get hired as a head coach after the year, probably. So who are we excited about? I guess it's a college coach, but of course we just saw with Urban Meyer how bad that can be. I'd just rather have the guy tied to Kyle Shanahan. I'm sorry, I just would.
This is a big reason. Completely forgot what I was going to say there.
Hasan's trying to work on bids right now. Talk it out, Hasan. That's what we do here. Tell me what you're bidding. Tell me what you're bidding in the private chat, and I'll let the people know.
Yeah, sure. So we have $55 left, and I'm splitting them between the Los Angeles Chargers defense and a running back, but dropping Rondale Moore.
Look at Pat's video talking right now.
So you don't want
when I was giving my take, you could see the emotion coming through.
You don't want either
KFFC or FBG.
KFFC is locked. This is FBG. The only running backs that are interesting are Amir or Jermichael Hasty, and we've got Rondale, but like we've also got Debo and Chase Claypool and Michael Gallup, who like we're kind of playing receiver roulette with. What?
I'd cut Claypool before Rondale.
Oh my goodness! Holy shit! This man has lost his mind.
Cut Claypool,
dude. You're totally wrong.
You're both wrong. Giovanni Bernard.
I'm actually legitimately like considering Claypool over Gallup this week, if only because I genuinely think that Claypool really is a wide receiver too. He had like back-to-back like almost 100-yard games on like 9 targets and 8 targets. This like last week was kind of an aberration where like Ben just went to Deontay. Like Claypool still gets manufactured touches. He didn't get as many last week. Rondale's role is unfortunately that of like this satellite back plus in this offense with like AJ Green and DeAndre Hopkins and fucking Zach Ertz and all these like old guys they have in Christian Kirk. I really think that Claypool like with Juju out, it's become a lot thinner. Like we don't have access to Freiermuth. I guess maybe I'll take a quick look at the tight ends, but
hang on, we gotta let Gretsch flesh out this take because I understand being down on Claypool, but I guess I don't understand being that high on Rondale. So I need to hear it.
Yeah, I wasn't actually serious. We're not gonna cut it.
I was very close to changing it.
That was a good take.
But listen, I'm serious. Would you really cut Rondale over Gio Bernard?
No. Yes, I would rather cut Gio. Like,
my
point was that Rondale is like, okay, so couple things on Rondale. He actually did start to see his routes come up. I talked about this in signals this week, but AJ Green, wrong color, has been 3 games in a row has been below 80% routes, which doesn't seem like a huge drop, but like he was above 90 for most of the early part of the year. So they've cut him about 20 percentage points in routes into like the 70s. These last few weeks, they've started to shift that down. Kirk was at 65% last week. They only had 20 dropbacks last week. Very small sample, but Kirk has come down a little. Rondale was up at 65%, kind of a higher number. Like in coming out of the bye, and right before the bye, he had the 11 catch game where they were manufacturing some looks for him. I do like we know that this is a more packed situation. We're not going to get the Elijah Moore like suddenly he's playing 90% at the end of his rookie season that we've seen from so many other rookies. I do think Arizona is making some small shifts to get Rondale into a rotation that is, trimming AJ Green a little bit, trimming Kirk a little bit, and getting some more snaps, routes, touches. And like, I want to see what comes of that. I don't want to cut him right now. We're actually like getting a little bit more out of him right now. It isn't a great role in terms of air yards and stuff. I agree with that, but I wouldn't want to cut him. especially if an injury happens or something. I mean, the other issue is Zach Ertz, who's running 80+% routes every single week. But like Ertz and AJ Green are both freaking 90 years old. If one of those dudes can't make it to the next 4 weeks, run no more. Like the trend that's coming, it could become 75% routes. You know,
Gretch, 5-minute timeout for Casey.
Why? You're the host.
Yeah, no, Casey, that's a 5-minute timeout. He said AJ Brown is just fancy AJ Green.
But I can see where he's going with it, right? Like, because you got AJG and then AJB.
I'll put you in a 5-minute timeout. Jeez, be my co-host.
Yeah, no, but I can see.
Berto knows. He's learned his lesson.
Berto says, "Don't fly too close to the sun." Casey's feet has a heavy finger.
I did want to get your guys' takes on like the running back roulette going on in Philadelphia, especially with his on again, off again relationship they have with Kenny Gainwell. Like when he's in and playing, he does really well, and then he's like a healthy scratch for the most part. So I was hoping someone had like a take there. I have no idea what we're doing because we've had him on our roster forever.
I have takes on Gainwell, and I basically I don't think they think he can run. Like, I think they think he's just a receiving back. This last week, he got 12 carries. 8 of them came on the last 8 plays of the game. Total garbage time. They're obviously really depleted elsewhere in their backfield. Like, Scott didn't play. Was sick and everything, and Howard's hurt. Miles Sanders got 24 of the first 28 rush attempts in that game, even though Gainwell had the rush TD. Like, they don't think he can run. If you go look at his rush attempts, like, as soon as they shifted to the really run-heavy game scripts with the pass rate over expectations that were negative 10% or worse, which was whatever week, that's when they said, okay, we're going to go with Howard and Boston Scott, and you're now a depth running back. That was right when Sanders got hurt, remember? And we're all like, Gainwell's going to smash. He's been awesome. I don't think they think he can be a between the tackles runner. We love him. He has a great profile. Pat's been on him, since the offseason, was really, really high on him. But he was a 5th-round pick, right? Day 3 pick. And I don't think they see anything out of him as a runner, which is weird because he has had runs like this week where he had the 17-yard TD. Now, he did look good also in the closing minutes last week in those final 8 carries that were all, garbage time. But, maybe he can still earn some new trust in an opportunity to run the ball. But I just think that they're a run-heavy team now, and they don't think he can run.
Well, I would say they're not happy with the way he's running. Maybe they don't think he can run might be a little strong. Because, like, you see this with backs like Tony Pollard and stuff kind of get, like, worked more and more in. Like, they could ultimately like what they saw last week and start using him a little bit more. And the Scott stuff, right? That's kind of interesting. What happened there? Because there's an illness. Maybe that's why he didn't play. But he also fumbled at the end of the Giants game in a way that kind of lost them the game. So maybe that's why he didn't get any touch. He did have 4% of snaps, so it wasn't like he was inactive or kind of even like an emergency back. He was out there a little bit. He just didn't ever touch the ball. So, I mean, he only played 4% of snaps. But they could be kind of benching Scott over that egregious fumble that, ended their second to last, but basically their last real drive against the Giants.
I think Gainwell is pretty hard to trust for the rest of the year just because, bye this week, probably hurts his back in week 15. Boston Scott will not have the illness. Might even have Jordan Howard back. So,
yeah, that's the thing about both guys like Gainwell and Rondell, where we're excited about them, but there isn't even clear contingent value in that there could be an injury or someone removed, and you can't definitively know, like, oh my God, their role would for sure expand. Whereas, like, if Damian Harris goes down, we know Ramondre Stevenson is full on blast off. But I don't know. Those guys are such hard projections because the coaches yank around the usage so much.
Yeah, but
I like Ben's takes on. I think Ben's take on Rondell, I agree with. I mean, the 65%, that roll increase out of the bye, that's with Hopkins back in the lineup. And we'd actually seen Kirk increase a lot in his the point that Ben was making about AJ Green's route share declining. I noticed that as well, and Kirk's was coming up. So my like prior entering last week was we were going to see a lot of Kirk. To see Kirk come down and Rondale come up after the bye, I think is really exciting for Rondale. I mean, he still probably needs an injury, but like if Kirk were to miss a few games, I mean, I actually do think it's a wide receiver. It's never quite as much of a blast-off situation, but it's about as close as you get.
Yeah, I was going to say the difference for me with Rondale and Gainwell is I feel like the team signals. Like Rondale, it does have players ahead of him that they like, but they have been seeming to try to like find ways to use him. And when Hopkins was out and Green was out, he was in a ton. It was a little weird. The second game Hopkins was out and Green was back. He was down to like really low in routes.
He was down.
But then he was still low the week after, but they got him the 11 catches. You know, they're like manufacturing all these short passes for him. It seemed like they've been trying to find ways to use him. Gainwell, as soon as Sanders got hurt, they buried him. And it's been like they've only used him when they've needed to, which is like this past week. And I mean, Hurts coming back was a good, I thought a good point by Blair. I mentioned in Signals this week too, which was like the conditions that led to Gainwell's big game this week were, first of all, the rush attempts were the garbage time, all those 8 carries talked about, but then also Minshew being in there was a massive change for running back target rate. Remember Minshew at Jacksonville for James Robinson? Like that was beautiful. He loves throwing to the backs. He threw to the backs a bunch in this game. Gainwell had some catches. So did Sanders had a few. And then also just all the other running back injuries, right? Scott being sick, but Scott will probably be back. And then even Howard might be back. It's going to be all of like, there's like 3 different things that worked in Gainwell's favor for last week that probably won't, in my opinion, after the bye.
Yeah, that's fair.
What was that comment?
Michael Dubner saying Rondale Moore. This feels way too close to reality that I'm almost triggered. He says Rondale Moore is going to do basically nothing all year, go nuclear in week 18 just to boost his ADP by 6 rounds next year, or just have a massive playoff and just he'll be a 4th pick. He's so right and I hate it.
When he goes nuclear in week 18, we're gonna play him in the FFPC challenge, but he's gonna do nothing in the playoffs. That's the rest of it.
We're gonna get like a 5% like Rondale, and we're gonna be like, boys, Clancy Bucks.
Oh my goodness. Crap, bids processed. I meant to say we spent $900 on Josh Palmer. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you guys. Do you guys have a take on this Josh Palmer versus Jalen Guyton divide that is tearing apart America right now?
Palmer over Guyton, and I don't even like Palmer, but Guyton, like we know Guyton can't earn targets. Like I don't understand the Guyton thing.
The Guyton thing is he scored a touchdown last week, and now everyone's excited because everyone's out.
Yeah, so last year, Pat and I have talked about this before, and I think Pat confirmed this. I just said I thought it was the lowest targets per out run, and I think Pat confirmed it was of any qualified receiver. He was under 10%. This year, he is also under 10% again. Like this guy can't earn targets. He's like he had 4 last week, and he had a couple long catches. He's fast. But like he is not a guy that is going to ever.
He's Damiere Byrd.
He's Damiere Byrd. He's an empty route guy.
He's just Damiere Byrd.
If you hit 5 targets, it's like freaking hitting the lottery. So go ahead and play that in DFS or whatever. Like have fun. Josh Palmer has at least a reasonable. He's a rookie, and it's not great, but he's at 15% targets per out run. And if both those guys are out, he's going to run more routes. He's not been running as many routes as Guyton, but he will in that scenario. And I mean, I think it will be like if one of them's out, the other one will get a bunch of targets in the tight ends because Cook and Parham have both had pretty decent targets per run, and they've been running routes. I think they'll do more of the 2 tight end stuff. They've used Steven Anderson at times too, and I don't think he's healthy, but I think it'd be Eckler, one of the receivers and multiple tight ends. They get a lot of the targets for him, but I have a hard time seeing Guyton having just a game at all.
I do too. And if anyone's running routes out of the slot, I mean, maybe it's some Mike Williams, I don't know, but like Palmer has just such a better chance of that. And he's, I was talking to Davis about him this morning, and he's like 6'2", 210. He's got that bigger frame. You could see him kind of more in a Keenan Allen style role. Guyton's going to do what Guyton does because he just runs in a straight line.
Well, that's why I'm excited about it for DFS because the Guyton touchdown last week was the ultimate red herring, heading into this week. And now everyone's going to want to just chase that, assuming his role is going to be the one that grows the most. So Palmer's looking pretty juicy to me. The chat also excited about Parham as well.
He had 90 yards and a TD last week. That's great, right? I don't think people realize that like his role was actually kind of a little bit smaller last week than it has been at times, or I mean, certainly didn't grow. The point I'm trying to make is he's been running a ton of routes all year, this could have happened at any point. It's not like something changed and he just got on the field and did something, right? Like, and the dude has 289 yards on the whole season. He had 90 last week. Like, he got basically a third of his yards last week. Like, you've had a long sample and all of last year of a guy that doesn't produce yardage when he runs a lot of routes. So good luck.
Yeah.
I'll push back a little bit.
He'll do it again. I mean, I swear to God, this is the perfect scenario where there's like no shot for him to have a big game, and he'll do it again because that's just what happens.
I'll push back a little bit here, right? So, one, Bomber is from Canada. Bomber's from Canada. Whoever heard of a good guy, like a good NFL player in America who's from Canada, right? Never. Not going to happen. This guy's the best Canadian football player of all time, whatever, right? Two, all right, so I've been reading this conversation, like this interview that he gave. He lists his favorite Star Wars movie. Guess which one it is. Guess which one it is.
No, I mean, not the Phantom Menace. If it's the Phantom Menace, we're out.
No. But guess which one it is. Just guess.
I did.
I don't know.
There's too many. There's too many, right? All right, so I'll give you. So he has a tattoo on his leg from Star Wars Rogue One. Right?
Rogue One's a dope movie. I was gonna say that.
It's a very good movie, and it's not his favorite.
Kind of more
given how young he is. It's Revenge of the Sith. It's Revenge of the Sith is his favorite movie. Like what? This is the guy who you're going with? The Revenge of the Sith guy?
I just love
Which
that
one's Revenge of the Sith?
Hasan is referencing some article as if it's a primary source that we've all read. Like, what is this fucking article?
That's what it is. No, but the chat as you right now, they don't want us to tell you that Claypool is Canadian.
so already.
That's why he sucks.
Oh God. Hoisted by my own petard.
Yeah, I'm a little bit mad at the chat because now we're gonna end up dropping Claypool.
All right, it's a little late. Where is Abbotsford in British Columbia? What is this even a real place? Get out of here.
Hasan, what is this article?
Which one's Revenge of the Sith? I don't even know which movie that is.
It's like the end of the most recent, like the current arc, I guess. I never watched it.
No, it's
the Last Jedi or whatever.
It's episode 3.
Oh my God! So it is like around the Phantom Menace.
Yes.
God, I didn't even watch this one.
The prequels. Okay.
Oh, I never saw that one. I never finished the.
Well, there you go.
prequels.
Well, I think we're dating ourselves a little.
Well, you better finish.
Is it Clone Wars the second one, and then Revenge of the Sith? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, Gretch, but make sure to watch it before we decide who we're starting.
Yes, I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with Canada here, especially like two people, like one from like Brampton and one from Abbotsford.
I mean,
come on, what are these real places?
Brampton,
first you came after Canada or Australia, and now you come after Canada. I mean, you're just wiping out like basically every non-American.
I mean, is it just the
English-speaking country?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're Pakistani, right? So
what do you feel about the UK? Any thoughts on that?
Oh, buddy, yeah. Oh, buddy. Are we ready to go to war with the royal family? Because I'm ready.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I am ready.
Any former English colonies are going downhill.
Absolutely, fellas. When the queen kicks the bucket, we are going to be doing an emergency ship chasing cats, celebrating.
When the queen kicks the bucket, mark my words, ship chasing will be firing up his.
We will be live, and we will be throwing a kegger.
We will be going live, competing against the BBC's live stream of her funeral. There will be a parade of celebrities, but here we will have Hasan.
We will be counter-programming this.
Meghan Markle is a Hasan sleeper agent. That's why she got kicked out of the royal family. Hasan has been infiltrating.
Fellas,
what are your thoughts on Charles as a name? You a big fan?
Oh yeah, so Charles himself. I mean, you got to feel bad for the guy, right? Like he's like the British, he's a true British blue blood, and the fact that they marry in families. You can see it in his face, man, and his ears. God, just what a... Oh, he's inbred, is what I'm trying to say.
Jesus.
I think I was
hey.
with you, Hasan. I get
Yeah, it's look, it's why we're here. I mean, like, America got its independence 150 years ago, and you guys are over here trying to say good things about the Royals. Come on, you ever watched
I
that
just want to
Always
get your
Sunny
takes, that's
episode?
all. I don't think I have.
Hasan,
This is
What's it
America. We hate Britain.
Hasan, what's it like being a father?
Just to try and do my best, man. Like,
Teaching them all the important things.
teaching them the important
sucks.
things. Yeah.
Hang on. Breaking news. I hope Crack Rock knows what's going on in the market. A Massachusetts cannabis company is claiming it set a world record when it baked a marijuana-infused brownie that weighed 850 pounds. The brownie contained 20,000 milligrams of THC, which would make it several thousand times stronger than a normal dosage. Crack Rock, when can we expect a ship-chasing 850-pound?
I love that that's from the Oregonian, by the way.
That they're covering?
Yeah, they're covering Massachusetts pot news.
There we go. I would love
it
to
wasn't
share this brownie with
Crack
you guys.
Rock because it's not purple.
Dude, a
That
purple.
brownie looks delicious.
We still need to do Crack Rock has to host us at his Berkshire's rental.
Yeah, I'm trying to toke up with Robert Kraft for sure.
God, I feel like toking up with Robert Kraft would just get like so weird, you know, where he starts like calling you babe and like wants to kiss you on the forehead and stuff.
That's a great point. I no longer want to do this.
Well, honestly,
Yeah,
Ben.
I'm out.
Well, I mean, you guys, we do owe him though. Like, if it weren't for him, like we wouldn't have Ramondre Stevenson, right? So like we owe him for that one. Like we know that he's a good player, you know. So I guess pass to Jay, Mr. Kraft.
Wow, this hurts. This hurts.
That's
if
true.
only you drafted Cooper
that's
Kupp, you
true.
could buy that.
So
brownie.
so I guess I could probably drop my 2022 hottest take that I've got, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
Are we
All right.
ready for it? Because you've already
Yeah,
dropped
yeah.
some pretty
Yeah.
hot takes.
It's
Yeah,
also
so-
only December, and we're already getting the 2022 hot takes. I love it.
So this one's actually relevant because it's fantasy football and it's actually probably semi-serious that I might write about at some point. But it's but it's like Cortland Sutton's going to be like your Cooper Kupp kind of like bounce back from ACL like repair a year afterwards next year, and he's going to go probably 3-ish rounds later than Jerry Jeudy. And so
Does
that's
this-
going to be
comparing him
80.
to. You're not saying Cooper Kupp this year, but like Cooper Kupp a couple years ago when he came back from the.
No, Cooper Kupp this year, right? So what Kupp did this year is like way on the extreme, right? But like last year, Kupp was coming off that ACL tear, and that's where it took him a while to get back up to speed. And you saw that kind of come on down the stretch.
Sutton's an absolute league
So
winner.
Sutton's a league winner, and I think he goes in like the 8th, or like he opens the 7th, 8th, 9th, somewhere there, and he doesn't really rise as much because it's very difficult to put him
Who's
up.
the quarterback in this scenario? Because Kupp got Stafford.
Yeah, so Kupp did get Stafford. So there have been rumors of the Broncos kicking around the tires on a bunch of players. Deshaun Watson is a name that has been thrown around. It just on the off chance, apparently Miami was willing to trade for him had he settled all of his outstanding litigation. The other one that's been bandied about has probably been Aaron Rodgers as a potential last gasp kind of area. There's like rumors that they might try and throw the farm for like Russ Wilson. So there's a lot of like players or potential upgrades you could see there because they're not going to be rolling with Teddy for that much longer.
How awesome would it be with Cortland Sutton with Russell Wilson? That would be so fun.
Yeah, so that's like my probably only fantasy relevant future hot take because we've seen people like because I mean this year Woods and Kupp are going back to back. But I think next year people are going to be really soured on Sutton to where like he's going to go in that like really late range. I mean he's not going to slide to where Kirk was this year, but like he's going to be in like a pretty affordable area if that makes sense.
I could see him where Marquise Brown and DJ Shark were this offseason.
Yeah,
and kind of where they ended more in that like 9-10 turn.
Yeah. And I can see it rising too, but I can see it to the point where you're fine going heavy on him. It was like where we were on him a couple of years ago, over like a little overextended, and then he got like kind of unfortunately he got hurt.
Yeah, I have the weirdest Cortland Sutton. I mean, and people know that like with Jeudy he's been worse, but in the 6 games Jeudy has missed, I'm trying to get Pro Football Reference to give me the averages, but it's actually like good numbers, right? In the 6 games, Judy has been active. Cortland Sutton has not caught more than 2 passes in any of the games.
Yeah.
That's just like insane. And then in the 6 games he has been, I think it's 6.4 catches and 87 yards per game, which is like a really good line for a dude. How is the gap that wide? They don't even overlap. Like Judy's an
it makes
underneath
sense.
receiver.
It makes sense to some degree why the gap's that wide, because it's just variance, because he's Teddy Bridgewater's deep threat. And he's just not going to see a ton of targets most weeks, and he's run bad. Like there's an effect. I'm not saying there's no effect. There is. Judy's preventing him from seeing some additional targets. But like he has like I had to close everything, so I can't reference his ADOT, but his ADOT's like something like 16.5 or something. It's crazy high. So, and that's with Teddy Bridgewater quarterback. So you're just not going to see that many targets. I'm kind of like selling the whole, because I think it's mostly and overly baked in. I'm selling the whole Judy has killed Sutton's value thing. I think he's hurt his value to some extent, and he's also run bad on variance.
Yeah, and that's like the beauty of of data here, right? Is that you can use it to tell whatever story you kind of want to tell, but realistically, what Pat's saying is true, because he's still getting volume, he's still seeing air yards. He just has run bad. Like, I mean, you can say whatever it is you want to say, like Judy killed him or whatever, right? Or like,
well, I mean, also think of even peak Russell Wilson last year with Lockett and Metcalf, and the narrative was not even both of those guys could go off at the same game. Now you introduce an even better running game, a better tight end in that offense. I mean, it's not that shocking that all those guys can't go off with an inferior quarterback.
Yep,
for sure.
By the way, this is a great matchup for deep passing. So
I agree.
The Broncos this week
are
set up very
Lions.
well the Lions have the second highest rate of 15+ yard passes allowed. Only the Jets are higher. So this is a really nice matchup for deep passing.
I mean, I'm excited for Sutton to then have a good game, but I agree with basically everything you said, except for the part where, like, again, I just want to emphasize the size of the gap. Like, he averaged 6.2 catches, 9.2 targets. He's never had more than 6 targets. He was averaging more catches than his highest number of targets when you look at the split, which I don't think it has to do with Judy all that much. I mean, it has to do with him somewhat, but like, he's not even getting targeted. That's my point was like, doesn't have more than 2 catches in any of these games. Like 4 of the 6 games, he has 3 or fewer targets. It's 3 or 2 targets. Like it's weird. He was averaging a 100 catch, 1,400 yard pace in those other games, and then suddenly he's just not even getting any. That is it's an insane gap. I've never seen splits like it in my life, and it doesn't make any sense.
It's a low volume passing attack, though. It's a quarterback that we know is not going to be necessarily supporting a deep option. I'm not saying there's an effect. There is definitely an effect here. Like there's the sample is just but I'm kind of arguing against like what I feel is sort of a market sentiment that's like Sutton's dead. Judy's the only option in the passing game now. And I just don't think that's true.
That's not true. I agree with that. It's just weird. It's just a weird fucking split, right?
Yeah.
It would be interesting to know, like, if Judy's out, does Sutton then become more of that underneath target? Like, is he relegated to only a deep role as long as Judy is in the game? I mean, Bridgewater.
Even when Sutton balled out, I mean, he had a pretty big ADOT, right? I mean, he was always getting used as a
he had a game with like 280 air yards or something. Like they were just chucking him deep balls. But I think Blair's right to an extent too. He's having like some 14 target games. He had a 14 target game, 12 target, 11 targets. Those weren't all deep shots. Like he was getting some underneath ones too, which he's not getting. But it's still like, I don't know. It just Judy's not even doing well right now either. Is the other thing. It's not like Judy came in and is getting 12 targets a game. Like what the fuck has happened? Like,
it's definitely something that you could see turning around though with a quarterback change. Like that would make a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Dubner bringing up a conversation that was a hot topic around the fantasy water cooler after what was it, Sunday Night Football, woke up lots of debates about Javonte Williams being the 102. That was a very popular take. Was also getting some pushback. Where is our panel at on Javonte Williams 102 next year? I assume Melvin Gordon is not within this picture.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's an overreaction. Christian McCaffrey would be, clearly the 102, I think, over a guy like Javonte Williams. We don't know for sure what the receiving role is going to be with Javonte Williams. Certainly his projects as like an extremely exciting type of player, but like look at where Jonathan Taylor went this year. Like you can't just pencil in someone for, who just split snaps with Melvin Gordon all year and may again this week. You can't just pencil him in for like an 85-90% of snaps role. And unless we can really feel confident that he's going to get a bunch of targets, which we probably shouldn't, even though he looked great as a receiver last week. And he does pretty well in yards per route run on the season, but it's a lot of projection, and that's not really what the 102 is for. So he's like a 1-2 turn pick right now, I think, and that's awesome. Like that's that, and that I don't know. Maybe you guys would even push back on that, but that's kind of how I see it.
I'm not going to push back, but if you take Pat's argument and then you switch out the Melvin Gordon for Nyheim Hines and Javonte Williams for Jonathan Taylor, it's like the same discussion that people are having all off season. I think the argument there was it's fun to overreact to island games, right? Like I think it's genuinely fun to overreact to island games. I mean, every time Byron Pringle was on the field, I can tell you for a fact, guys, I was celebrating just personally, like just Byron Pringle just being on the field. But yeah, like
Hasan's sitting over there eating his Pringles, like
yeah. I actually,
that's my guy. I got the Pringles.
God, I can't believe he owns this company. Yeah, but I think a lot of what Pat was saying is why his ADP is not going to be 1 or 2. But if you have him, it's a little bit like the Jonathan Taylor argument, right? Why didn't Jonathan Taylor play ahead of Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines? And did we get him with his targets and blah, 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 blah? And then, well, I don't know, man. It's baked in.
I mean, look, I love Javonte Williams, but like,
yeah.
I want to push back a little bit on comparing him to Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, I mean, no, it's just not the same, right?
Yeah.
I like that take. No, I agreed with your take, Pat, and I like Lawrence's take in the chat about him being more Antonio Gibson because you could hang your hat, and I assume this is what you're going to say, Ben, on a much better prospect profile with Jonathan Taylor, where if you're making the 102 case for Javonte, it is very heavily volume driven. And what's the whole thing we've learned around here that we shouldn't do is try to project volume definitively, especially in ambiguous situations like a rookie's role growing.
Yeah.
So who at running back do you guys have ahead of Javonte? I mean, I don't even think CMC ahead of Javonte is that clear.
Ooh, yeah, I'm a Blair there on CMC as well.
I think that's like very, very clear.
What did Hasan say earlier? You're just wrong.
No.
I can't remember what it was.
I think that's extremely clear. Like he's still very young. He's going to be like 26, so he's not like very young, but he's going to be young enough. He's got this insane receiving role. I think Eckler, he got the touchdown work this year. There's just enough guys where, you're getting the receiving for sure. And then, if we're going to do the projection game, which I loved Antonio Gibson this year, and I'm very happy to do. That's these young guys who they have crazy talent, and it looks
I'd like a mulligan on the Antonio Gibson stuff personally.
Well, sure. Yeah. But I'm saying if we want to do that, we don't do it there. We do it in the second round. That's what the second round's for.
Yeah.
That's
Sure, but I think Gibson's a fair enough comp from the sense of we're going into year 2. We had a great rookie year and stuff. But actually, Blair, you've done a ton of work on youth, age, right? He was a 21-year-old rookie running back. Give us the bull case on Javonte.
Yeah, I mean, the bull case is that guys with his profile, I mean, he doesn't have as good a profile as Taylor, obviously, but guys who do what he did as a rookie who have that kind of profile coming out tend to see a huge jump in year 2. So, I mean, if you're kind of playing the numbers from that perspective, you want to bet on these guys. But I mean, even Antonio Gibson didn't have those same signals necessarily. So
Antonio
I'm
Gibson
not saying
flashed
that
stuff as a college prospect, but he wasn't Williams was a better prospect.
And age.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
just
not
the fact
saying that I would
21
definitely have Williams ahead of CMC or Eckler or those guys, but I'm saying
What about
I think
Swift?
Yeah, Swift.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd much rather have Swift.
Right.
I think Williams.
I don't think that's clear.
I
I think it's worth debating that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
It also
is.
depends
That's
on
true.
the quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced on Eckler. I think talking about this, I'd probably go Taylor and CMC and then Swift. Those are the ones that I feel the most comfortable should be ahead of Javonte.
Who do you have as like the quarterback for the Panthers then? Right, because like that's like
Doesn't matter.
kind of
doesn't matter.
You just think that
it can't be worse. It can't be worse. And I actually wonder if Rule. Do you think there's any chance Rule gets fired? Like
probably, but I guess
the whole regime change.
So
that almost doesn't matter. Like having a bad quarterback for a pass catching running back almost helps.
It's
them
almost fine. Yeah, you almost prefer it to like, I don't know. You'd probably rather have it than like Mahomes back there or something.
I mean, like, have you guys looked at CMC's game log recently?
Yeah.
I mean, games that he got hurt in, like he has only 24 plus PPR points, and then he had one game against New England this year where he was at 14.6. Ooh, like that's so bad.
And his expected points, like his workload is massive. It just like that workload is
it's a lock for 20 plus every single week. We're hoping to get 20 an average, right?
Let's also talk about Naji Harris, who's like getting ridiculous work. He probably sucks, but he's not like he sucks. So sucks is a bad. I shouldn't have said that because he doesn't suck at everything. He just sucks at a lot of things. He's like
everything that matters.
He's sufficient. No, not everything that matters. He's a sufficient receiver, and he's like, I don't know. He's not like insanely non-elusive. He just has no breakaway ability.
He's fancy Trent Richardson.
He's like James Conner, right? He's like
fancy
Josh
Trent
Jacobs-ish.
Richardson is savage, but I kind of like it.
Yeah,
I've been comparing him to Eddie Lacy before he got fat, and that's kind of how I still view him.
Which everyone takes as a negative, and every time you make the comparison, you go, but Eddie Lacy was good for a while.
Eddie Lacy was very productive.
Isn't he a better pass catcher than Eddie Lacy?
Eddie Lacy was a pretty solid pass catcher.
Yeah,
he had quick feet. Like I don't think so. I think Eddie Lacy might have been the better pass catcher, to be honest.
Okay,
but it's comparable. Yeah, I think with that workload, if they get any kind of quarterback upgrade, it's a rare thing to get that kind of workload. I hate when I don't feel great about the prospect. I hate to just give a guy one of these rare workloads, and like that's why I wasn't in on Naji entering the season. And we never really see these running backs, like even when they get it, it's rare for them to actually live up to it. Saquon's the only one who's really done it and delivered an incredible season. So I'm fine. Like I actually feel totally fine about being out on Naji entering the season. It's come in that everything people thought he might get in terms of workload, they were almost underestimating a little bit. And so now that we know that, we should be pretty excited about him entering year 2, I think, even though he doesn't have any breakaway speed.
Yeah.
That's kind of the issue, right? Because
efficiency matters for sure.
Yeah,
right?
It does.
But the thing is too, I mean, how many starting running backs right now in the league even have that Jonathan Taylor breakaway speed, right? There's not even a ton of them. And that's why I'm saying to Pat's point, like it's not bad that Naji doesn't have that because he's going to make up for it with volume in other ways.
And like, think about where Najee's going to be priced on DraftKings next year. Like most of the year, he's probably priced at like 7,500, maybe like 8,000. You know what I mean? Like you're going to have to pay like weekly. You're probably going to have to pay a lot to put Naji in your lineup, which, I don't know. It's one of the,
is he ever going to be a 9K running back? You're saying he's like a floor player.
He could be. He could definitely be a 9K running back. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't rule that out just because of the volume and the receiving. And we saw a huge ceiling target ceiling with him. And that, what was it? 17 targets. I mean, obviously he's come way, way down. His routes are down. They clearly are reconsidering that whole idea, but it's certainly possible.
This is a good question from Andrew. And, we get Kamara likely coming back this week against the Jets. He asks, is Kamara stock dead, or do we still think there's juice there if the Saints add actual NFL caliber players around him? How are we framing Alvin Kamara in this kind of, dynasty running back stock conversation?
Go ahead.
Sorry, Ben.
Go ahead. I think we're the same thought.
I was going to say that I was really concerned about Taysom Hill throwing to the backs. And one thing I want to know broadly is like I just noticed that Sam Hoppin does some awesome stat stuff. Helps me with some stat stuff. Ty Montgomery being classified as a receiver has been a little bit confusing because he was a receiver for most of the beginning of the year. These last 2 weeks, he's played almost all of his snaps in the backfield. If you go look at like a snap distribution, like earlier, he wasn't playing the backfield at all. It hasn't been like a hybrid thing. He's been in one position or the other, basically. But these last couple of weeks, he has been like almost a pure running back. He's been their pass catcher, and he's gotten like 12 targets. And especially this past week, he got 7, and Ingram got a pair in a game where Taysom Hill was quarterback. I thought that was kind of a positive sign that Hill threw to the running backs 9 times. They don't have a lot of receivers. Last year, Hill was throwing to Michael Thomas a bunch. So Kamara comes back this week. Just noting Montgomery's targets came out of the backfield in the role, the high routes roll out of the backfield that Kamara obviously operates in. And so, yeah, I mean, Kamara definitely still has 7 target upside. If Montgomery just did it last week, was for like short term. That's just a note that I want to make.
Also, he gets the Jets. I mean, come on.
Yeah. They're going to run the offense through him. They kind of have to, right?
Yeah.
To just sort of broadly, at least just a little bit more from a future perspective, I also think that like Kamara is like the situation is a little unchanged, right? Like, I mean, what made DeAndre Swift so exciting where we were getting him in the third, right? Like, kind of pass catching ability, good breakaway speed. You can pencil him in for a decent rushing and receiving workload. Like, that's kind of feels like where we're going to get with Kamara, and people are going to be out on him because he got hurt. Right?
So,
like,
I would caution with Kamara. Before he went down, before he got hurt, he was not popping in anything except yards per route run. And this is a guy previously who was popping in stuff like elusive rating and breakaway percentage because he was an incredible runner. And when you see that start to come down, like, it's not that it can't ever come back, but you're just kind of, it's like there's a headwind there. For sure. Where you're expecting a guy's explosiveness as a runner to come back at like age 27. Like, I don't like that bet. Now, you're still getting the receiving, but I mean, to me, it's like you kind of want to keep the price down
I didn't
making
know
that bet.
That's a great point. I didn't know that. I mean, that reminds me a little bit of like chasing. I don't know why Chris Johnson popped into my head, but like that was an explosive runner that like once he started losing it, like he still was effective at times and he still got volume like with the Cardinals late in his career and stuff, but he was never the same guy,
Yeah. Like if Kamara ends up being Zeke from this year, then you're going to be pretty upset.
It goes quick,
but I mean,
it goes really quick.
Right. You see these guys, like the young guys like Taylor and Swift, come into the top 5, but that's because the older guys are dropping out. They just fall off a cliff like that. So,
and think about guys like Aaron
it happens
Foster
all the time.
Stuff. Yeah, like Aaron Foster's like incredible, and then like 2 years later, he's an afterthought. Like it goes.
Le'Veon Bell.
Injuries usually are.
He's still 29 today. Like, what the fuck?
David Johnson.
It's not always because of injury, but injuries usually don't help. Like
this comment from
a running back that gets injured usually makes it harder for them to stay elite.
This comment from Lawrence, he's a guy that loses magic, loses game when he loses a step. Like I get what he's trying to say. It's kind of a hard comment to parse, but like there's certain backs that are just like a half a step better than like they're relying on efficiency. I think this is the point I was trying to make with Chris Johnson. Like he was always what made him special was the fact that he could just take a run to the house from 70 yards out. He had that extra gear. He could turn the corner. And as soon as he lost that, it's like he's just a dude. He doesn't have anything else. He's not going to run over anybody. There's nothing else there. And I think that's sort of the case with Kamara too, probably, where like once you lose, he's always been really efficient as a runner and a receiver. You look at like fantasy points over expectation and stuff like that. You lose that. Eckler's that way. As soon as Eckler starts to lose it, we're going to be like, whoa, there's probably not a lot here.
Mm-hmm.
Zeke, for example,
this comment from Breakout Rage.
Zeke lost it, but Zeke still has like a shit ton of carries at the goal line and stuff. Like he's a little different. Like he can still be somewhat productive even when he can lose 3 steps and still be somewhat viable, which is sort of annoying, but it's different for backs like Zeke than it is for backs like Kamara.
So I'm sorry. So I'm sorry to bring this conversation back to CMC, but I was curious about like.
Hang on, Hasan, I'm trying to set you up here for the DMs, and I spelled Paul wrong in this banner.
Yeah, I was really confused. Like,
No, you were DMing about what we picked up. I thought you were going to share with the people.
I was hoping you could let them know, but we won. So we won Los Angeles Chargers defense for $14.
Let's fucking go against the Giants. I mean, come on.
And then we won Jermichael Hasty for 30,
that's a nice pickup.
35. Yeah.
Do we start him over Zeke?
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Matt realizes I'm not kidding.
Yeah, and I'm very open to it.
I'm very open to it.
If Mitchell and Wilson are both out,
yeah, we're starting Hasty.
We're starting Hasty.
You bet on talent. You bet on talent.
You bet exactly.
So Hasty over Zeke.
Look, like the only talent we genuinely see from Zeke is like the ability to put away like 6 pumpkin pies, man. That's
Tony Pollard might be
it's just
so if he's out, then we probably gotta play Zeke.
Yeah.
If Tony Pollard's out, we're playing Zeke.
Yeah. I the only reason so just to bring this back, only reason I wanted to go back to CMC is because I did want to ask like about how his like auxiliary metrics are going, because from an FBOE perspective, he's not having like a good year to where you think like his numbers versus like last year, even on a per game basis, are pretty like low this year. And I don't know if that's because he tried playing through injury or something, but he's looking a lot more like just a dude than you would think. He genuinely
route run among running backs. So he doesn't rate well.
I mean, is that like on a per game basis or like
per route basis?
Per route basis. Okay. Do you think that that's a little bit skewed because he's only run like 7 routes because he's always hurt? Like,
no.
Like is that like a numerator dominant?
I'll pull up his sample.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I appreciate that. I mean, the only reason I'm bringing it, or at least trying to fudge CMC a little bit, is because it's.
Be careful, Gretsch doesn't like it when you say you're trying to.
Yeah, I know, but
what was he saying?
He said he's Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, because I think that there's like a
Christian McCaffrey. Is that what you said?
I mean, did you see the GQ cover?
I swear to God, Pete just said that twice. Did you
Fud.
No, Fud. FUD.
Oh,
yeah,
Fud.
Yeah. Because like the only reason I'm bringing this up is because there's probably a 1-to-1, or at least close to a 1-to-1 here with CMC and Saquon, right? Because Saquon seemed to be back on track until like he had that ankle injury and he's just never been the same. So I wanted to get your guys' takes because like we're talking about the consensus 101 and the former 101. I'm
also very out on the Saquon's done take. I think the Saquon's done take is wrong. Is just straight up wrong. I've watched some of these games to do like I've had to blurb some Giants games. I'm way behind on the video, so enjoy the history.
You're laughing. Was that what I said? Did he want to?
That was when you were trying to fuck Christian McCaffrey. So I think the Saquon's done take is bad. First of all, he leads the league in breakaway percentage. He's made some really nice plays. He looks elusive out there when I watch him. I'm like, he looks like Saquon. He's left with an ankle injury. They worked him back in from an ACL tear. He came back off an ACL tear this year, and he's still playing pretty well. And there you could see a coaching upgrade. Joe Judge looking likely to get fired. Obviously, if Freddie Kitchens gets renewed as the OC, we're not going to be back in. But there's like outs to him having a much better situation. Potentially a quarterback change. I mean, that's at least an option, right? I think that if we're getting him at the 2-3 turn, maybe sign me up.
And
please.
I also just wanted to say I don't think Chris McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley are the same discussion. I agree with what Pat said, but Barkley has risk baked in. Because he's like another one of these players that we have to rely on for efficiency, basically, right? Like McCaffrey is Marshall Faulk. Like every time he plays, he has the 1,000, season potential. All this dude has to do is stay healthy for 16 games again at some point, and he's going to be a top 3 running back, period. Full stop. Like literally just has to stay healthy. It's just a question of health. I don't see any, like he's an elite route runner. He's a different player than any other running back. That's my take at least. I don't think it's the same as Barkley. I don't think it's the same as any other running back. I think he's a receiver, like a literal wide receiver, like a Wes Welker, and then also a good running back.
Yeah,
It's different,
and they kind of
he's
use him like a
Marshall
late
Faulk.
releasing slot receiver. Like some of the routes they were doing from early in the season, it was so cool.
Yeah.
Like he'd come across the field from the backfield. He wouldn't be in the slot. He'd come out of the backfield and then run like a slant across the middle.
Yep.
And it was like the check down route that Darnold was looking to make would come open right when he was looking to do the check. Like it was, I mean, Brady's gone, so we're not going to get that kind of cool stuff probably. But like, I agree. I mean, his skill set is that of a receiver. He has a 2.91 yards per route run, which is off the charts. And he's run. It's crazy good. Yeah.
2.91?
2.91 yards per route run this year.
But this is why I was asking about like the denominator issue, because it just sounds like that's high, and like it's like
he's run 118 routes, which isn't a ton, but like Cordell Patterson this year has run 179, so it's not like he's run, that many less than. I mean, Patterson's I think a fair comparison, right? Alvin Kamara's run 181, been banged up. Eckler's run 312, so that would be like a full sample. It's not like the most full sample ever, but like he's leading all running backs. Like he's not done. He's still doing what we think he's elite at.
Blair,
I'm gonna love an offseason where I get to be somehow the only high guy on Christian McCaffrey. I'll just tell you right now, I'm gonna be
the only high guy, Ben. What?
Yeah,
are you just kicking me off the bandwagon? Sorry. You just booted me up. It's Christian McCaffrey.
I feel like we're taking crazy pills because like everyone we talk to is like, yeah, no, Christian McCaffrey is not a top 2 pick anymore. And it's like that's just.
So I guess so the take is probably not that he's not a top 2 pick. What I'm saying is the 1 or 2 is far less settled than it should actually be. Then you should say Christian McCaffrey and wipe your hands of it, because I think that there's probably more downside risk for him at that point. I mean, obviously it's the 1 or 2, right? Like where you're gonna get ideas like, oh, what if we actually get a quarterback who's actually willing to throw down the field, right? Because the Panthers have lost games in service of getting Christian McCaffrey to 1,000. Like there are bad habits from Sam Darnold and Cam Newton where they just force feed CMC targets and he goes nowhere. He'll catch the ball and go 3 yards and get hit like about at the line of scrimmage, and then it'll happen again and again, and then they're gonna punt. And then the next time you look up, the Panthers are losing the game, right? So at some point, this team should try and win football games, which it isn't doing. And David Tepper is not going to be pretty happy with how this works out.
Yeah, I disagree.
Every year of his career, he's averaged over 8 yards a catch. He's been over
delivers
7 yards
value.
a target 4 years in a row, which like the league average for running back is like 6. Like no one's throwing checkdowns to Christian McCaffrey gets tackled at the line of scrimmage. He's running option routes and one-on-one coverage against a linebacker, like Pat just described. Basically, Wes Welkering it in-out routes and getting open and then turning upfield for 7 yards. Like, they're passing. He's an asset. He's not a liability.
Yeah, he helps the team.
He's really good at football. What is Hasan? What does this take? I feel like I'm taking crazy.
Is Christian McCaffrey Australian? Is this what this
is? Is he Canadian? We need to figure out which non-American English-speaking country is from.
Even if they bring in a quarterback that can push downfield and DJ Moore has a great season and all those things, he's still going to be their slot receiver underneath that moves the chains and they go to on third down because he wins in one-on-one coverage. Like,
if they have a quarterback,
receiver.
If they have a quarterback who can push the ball downfield, he could have like 30 fantasy points per game next year. That's good for him because if they're pushing the ball downfield, it's going to open up stuff underneath. Like he's been in the terrible. He's had Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, Cam Newton with his arm falling off. These have been his quarterbacks. Like we should be like viewing the upside from here, not the downside. He's dealt with injuries throughout the last 2 years. His receiving role with a new coaching staff did not change at all. And the NFL, like they're gonna just copy whatever the guy's deal is. McCaffrey, it's like you're taking over. If Rule isn't back, but whoever ends up coordinating the offense is just going to look at McCaffrey and go, "Yeah, we give him all the touches. He gets used a ton in the receiving game. I'm not going to break this. I don't want to be seen as the guy who didn't get it. So I'm going to do what everyone else did. Like if it's working, don't mess with it. It's kind of the way most of these NFL situations go."
Hasan.
so it's actually like I'm going to ask if there's like a cause and effect going on here, right? Like the cause being because you have a bad quarterback, is he getting a ton of these targets? right? And that's where like we don't have that as an answer, right? That's what I'm saying. That's where the downside risk is baked into, right? Like it's I know the rest of it, but what I'm saying is there's like a very real possibility it's DJ Moore plus Robbie Anderson, right? Like who are gonna be what it is. Maybe Terrace Marshall sucks, but like maybe they decide to make him like the slot guy or whatever. Like there's a lot of like uncertainty from the future that like I wanted to push back on, if only because they like you're talking about this like dedicated slot role. Well, maybe they decide to curtail his role. Maybe they see like giving him this incredible workload is why he's getting hurt, and they see him as an asset. So maybe he's still part of the reason that you get there, but like his bigger games are going to be a lot more spotty, right? Like I understand like why you want us to see the upside there, but I'm saying that the downside risk there is real to where you can't necessarily have him as just like pencil him as like the 1 or 2 and then call it, because that's like assuming that you're right? And then like the second you go all in on Christian McCaffrey out, like whenever you get him at 1 or 2 and then you're wrong, then it's like, well,
so that's why I like the pick so much, is that I don't even think you need to be right, because if you're right, he should have been the 101. Like clearly should have been the 101, because he's going to have a bigger role than Taylor, and you're betting on Taylor to sustain this, historic run that he's on, which like I don't want to bet against, but it's, you need him to be really, really efficient. Whereas McCaffrey, if he gets the workload we're thinking about, he should have been the 101. And if he doesn't, he's still probably getting like 18, 19 expected points per game. It should have been the 106. Like, oh no.
Well, how do you view that? Because I feel like that was a similar risk reward proposition we were making with Saquon this year, where it's like, if he's fully healthy and the volume's there, he should be the 102. Now, I mean, if you redraft this season, like where should Saquon go? 3rd, 4th round? Like, or is that even being generous? Like, so where on that spectrum has the Saquon stuff hit?
Well, I mean, the Saquon stuff, we also had the risk of, we had to bake in the risk of, his role getting increased post ACL tear. And you also, the stuff with Saquon, like, does he sprain his ankle? Because right before he sprained his ankle, he looked like he was about to go on a run. Yeah. So it's like, that's the type of stuff where, like, if he doesn't sprain his ankle, knowing what we know about just like how bad the Giants offense is going to be, like he should probably be like the 210. Like he should still be like drafted pretty highly based on, I don't know. I guess I'm assuming kind of a world in which the healthiness, we're not viewing him like we're viewing him right now, because I'm out on the narrative that he's done. I think the narrative that he's done is really driven by the fact that he sprained his ankle.
Yeah. Switching gears, Blair, I know you wrote in the Zero RB Watch about the Seahawks backfield this week. I feel like they're one of the more interesting backfields right now. Obviously, Russ looking better. This offense could greatly improve. We know Pete Carroll loves to fucking rely on the run game. If people are trying to mine this backfield for fantasy production down the stretch, do you have any leans?
Yeah, I lean Penny. I think seeing him finish the whole game healthy is a good sign. And it seems like that's who Seattle wants to use if they could, right? I mean, I know Peterson got more carries, but I don't think he's a long-term solution there. So I would expect to see Penny get worked in even more. So he'd be where I'd go. And really, outside of him, I don't have much interest in Seahawks.
Yeah, Alex Collins was limited today in practice. I mean, he was a healthy scratch last week, right? So how do you envision that split this week as far as Peterson versus Penny? Because Peterson got a ton of carries, or not a ton, but he was just incredibly inefficient. Was he like 10 for 26?
It was like 11 for 16. It was like one
it was awful.
Carry.
Right.
Yeah. And now they have this incredibly plush matchup against the Texans.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't expect Peterson to get that many carries. We saw Penny also take his one target, 27 yards, I want to say. So if he's looking explosive on a lot of the plays he's involved in, coaches remember that stuff. You'd see him get more involved.
Yeah. Any Seattle takes here, guys?
I agree.
I like the
I
Penny
agree with
take
that.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Penny. I was looking around. He wasn't available in any spot where I could add him, but because like people have been stashing him, and none of my co-managers will let me have Rashad Penny ever. Like
I was looking at him in the FBG, and it looks like we couldn't add him because we dropped him in week 12 or something.
yeah, I mean, how
That
many
is
times
funny.
have we added it?
11.
Dropped Rashad Penny. But it's gonna.
That's
I mean,
too perfect.
I think I don't know where I made this joke, but like the amount of times that we've hyped this dude up and the amount of times it's hit is like, and it's an infinity ratio, right? Like nothing's ever happened. Like, and we've talked about him 50 times, but you do have to look at like where we're at now, and where we're at now is the Seattle backfield is completely barren. They're turning to Adrian Peterson. He looks worse than you could have even guessed. He looked so fucking bad. The Penny usage wasn't great. You know, Homer ran a couple more routes, but he did run some routes. He got 1 green zone touch, but Peterson got 4 and Homer got 2. I mean, they had 7 green zone touches. They only gave 1 to Penny, which drove me a little nuts. But, you know, Pete Carroll's saying he made it through the game okay. They're going to like he's the obvious answer to like who could be valuable in this backfield. It's not Peterson. It's not Homer, who, you know, is, you know, scoring long touchdowns on fake punts. But other than that, he's a 2-minute drill back. I mean, there's no one like Collins had a 100-yard game earlier, but he's looked like dust for like a month now since that Steelers game where he looked pretty good. I mean,
Do you
Penny's
think
the one that.
Do you
What's
see
that?
it similar at all to kind of the way Foreman got installed? Also with Peterson, it's like the first Peterson played ahead of him, and then
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It makes you look better by comparison, is what we're saying. Oh, our other option is Adrian Peterson? All right, you're in. Go get him.
exactly. Yeah, it makes me a little bit more bullish on potential role growth, just because like they have to be seeing what we saw, and also another team just saw what we saw to the point that they cut him.
Yeah.
Oh, poor DJ Dallas gets no love. Ben didn't even say his name.
By the way, we were bashing on Trevor Lawrence earlier, and I think that's when my internet was really lagging. And I wanted to just throw out a little quiz for you. Since 2019, you guys name the quarterbacks that have been less efficient in EPA per play than Trevor Lawrence, rookie quarterbacks.
None.
Zach Wilson probably, but that's about
There's
it.
2, not.
Zach
Wilson. Yeah, Zach Wilson this year. Yes, that's one
Okay.
of them. But
that's one of the
but-
2, and then
it's one of the 3. There's 3, including Zach Wilson.
The other 2 aren't this year, so it's not.
The other 2 are not this year.
okay. And you said it goes back how many years? 2 years?
Just to 2019. So yeah, 2 years.
Oh, 2019.
Was
I was
Deshaun
gonna
Kaiser
start-
in that year?
First rounders.
Okay.
Josh Allen's probably one of them.
Josh Allen was more efficient.
Dwayne
And more
Haskins.
accurate.
Dwayne Haskins.
That's a
Dwayne
good
Haskins
guess.
was less efficient, but more accurate by completion percentage over expected.
Oh my God.
Rosen.
Rosen was
Rosen.
less efficient and less accurate. He's the only one who was less efficient and less accurate. And
Wow.
that's it. Everyone else is more efficient and more accurate than Trevor Lawrence has been.
And how much can we assign? I really want to assign more blame on Urban Myers. I want that.
I mean, I'm going to, but it's genuinely very funny seeing, this guy who everyone's been hyping up just looks like dust. Like, I think there's more bits to be mined there than
We're not good at the quarterback evaluation stuff, man. We're just not good at that. That's actually one of the things I'm most pissed at myself about. Like, I've been on that train. We can't do this very well for a couple years now. But then I was like, this class is like a historic quarterback class. Like, we should bake that into like our. Why did I do that? We had batted it. We're not good at
Because of
identifying.
Justin Herbert last year, we missed on the bad side last year. I mean, like everyone was talking about Herbert this offseason. Zach Wilson's gonna be this
Hey,
year's
but
Herbert.
like I get it. But so I just do the thought experiment. I know this is cliche, but Trevor Lawrence with Belichick, and
he's tearing
Mac
up.
Jones in Trevor Lawrence. I mean,
And Mac Jones looks horrible.
Isn't Trevor Lawrence absolutely fucking balling out with the Pats right now?
100%.
I think he probably is doing pretty well with the Pat. But Mac
I don't
Jones
know.
is like second in completion percentage over expected this year.
No, I get that.
he's
It's
been good.
that's why I'm trying to untangle it because I.
If he was under Urban Meyer, he would be trying to throw left-handed. Pat, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, did you guys read the article where like Kyle Shanahan said something about like wanting Mac Jones at 103, and then he walked it back, like he immediately went on like an apology tour, kind of like I thought that was an interesting thing for him to have done. Like he made like an offhanded comment where he was like, yeah, we wanted Mac Jones or whatever, but he's trying to like absolve himself of blame there. Like, I was curious if you guys think Kyle Shanahan can actually survive this level of mistake. If Trey Lance is not like particularly good, like three first level mistake.
Well,
He's
I mean,
probably
I think it's
bailed
already
out by it not being a great quarterback class.
I think pretty objectively, you already have to say that, like, to some degree, it's failed because they traded a ton to move up. There was always talk they didn't know who the pick was even going to be. Then you could say, oh, well, they did think it was going to be Lance all along, but then they haven't played him his whole rookie year. And I think that's crazy for how much draft capital they gave up. He's not going to get fired because, like, coaches get this type of, he's the one drafted Lance. They're going to find out if Lance is good next year. But I think you're right. It's not like if Lance has a bad year next year, Shanahan's probably fired after 2022.
The crazy thing has Shanahan hasn't even given himself a chance yet to see if he's right or not. That's what's so weird.
I think at this point he doesn't want to because
playing well though too. Like, I mean, he's still Garoppolo, but he's playing pretty well. So why would you? You're probably making the playoffs with Garoppolo.
So, but then that brings up the issue, which is like, all right, so what's wrong with your internal evaluation to where you felt the need to go spend 3 firsts on this guy, right? Like, this isn't. I see the parallels to a lot of people calling this like the Mahomes v Alex Smith type, like, type of stuff. But like the bigger difference and the issue there is that Mahomes probably had more pass attempts in like one season at Texas Tech than like Trey Lance has had his entire like collegiate career.
Well, and that also worked out really well because
that's like the number one.
They were able
outcome.
to trade Smith and all these things, but also like Mahomes won the MVP the very next year, so you didn't really have to answer a lot of questions. But if we look at this in hindsight, like we have to say, like unequivocally, and I was in the camp that they should just roll with Alex Smith that year because Smith was playing pretty well. I thought, rather than go to a rookie, I thought there's people saying they needed to go to Mahomes that season, gave him more upside. Unequivocally, now I think you have to look back and say they made a mistake not playing Patrick Mahomes in his rookie season. They went to the playoffs that year. And similar to the Niners, if Lance is Mahomes in the future, that we're going to look back and say they went to the playoffs that year. They squandered an opportunity when Jimmy Garoppolo didn't get them out of the first round, just like Alex Smith didn't that season. When they had this other quarterback who could have been that they could have won the Super Bowl that year, Patrick Mahomes' rookie year.
You can't say that unequivocally though. Like you can say it's probably true. Okay. I know.
Okay, unequivocally is a little bit dramatic. You're right
because you don't know how much Yes, he won the MVP, but after sitting the year after. Like getting in the second off season, like maybe that ultimately, I tend to think that you're right and that they should have played him. Like that seems like rather obvious, but like to play devil's advocate on it, like it could have been the case that the plan actually was very beneficial for Mahomes. Like that's possible.
Isn't the take? It seems like most smart people agree that obviously quarterback's the most important position in football. Teams should be taking more stabs on these guys and stockpiling them and trying to hit on a generational quarterback. However, Shanahan falls in love with these guys and gives up all this draft capital to move up and completely wipes out the edge of stockpiling these guys. Isn't that kind of the dilemma here? Like grabbing a guy like Lance at cost isn't bad, but selling the farm off to get him and then not playing him doesn't make sense.
Right. Exactly.
But it's only it's week. We're entering week 14 of the guy's rookie year. Like the idea that they haven't played him, they haven't played him a ton in his rookie year, but he's getting a lot out of Garoppolo right now. And there was a comment about how Shanahan's a fake sharp. Like, I don't think he's like a true kind of football genius, but he's not a fake sharp. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's not great. He's not he's probably worse than Kirk Cousins, right? and he's playing extremely efficiently this year in the Shanahan system. The Shanahan system works. I think it's a well-designed system. I think he's got his weaknesses, but like he can get really good play out of kind of whatever quarterbacks. So he's not a fake sharp.
But to Pete's point, then he could have sat at 12 and drafted Mac Jones if he can get whatever he wants out of any quarterback. The issue is the trading all of that draft capital and not even having a plan for who the fuck he just drafted. Like, what?
You don't know if he had a plan. He's a liar. I mean, the guy's clearly a fucking liar. He might have had a plan all along, and then he felt embarrassed about how in on Trey Lance he was in the get-go and had to make it look like he was
the plan to not play him during – I mean the plan regarding after picking him, they're still playing Jimmy Garoppolo in Week 15. Like, what is that? Doesn't make any sense with all that draft capital like just take a quarterback in 2022. I understand it's a worse class and like whatever else. There's probably other reasons, but like you're not even playing him this year. It's one of his 4 years of his rookie contract. Like you're just accelerating this clock to where you're going to have to give him a mega extension if he's good.
And just, like
none of it makes any sense.
And when
they
you
also just
him,
lost to Seattle, like as Andrew mentioned.
And it's like too isn't part of when you're drafting Trey Lance. Like if he was a fully fleshed out prospect, he goes 101, right? Like if he has all the tools that you need, then he's the 101 pick. He's a project, which is why he went where he went. It isn't the point of a project to get him out there and work out the kinks and work through that, knowing that the payoff, if he does turn into a Justin Herbert or Josh Allen, is massive. Like I thought that was the thesis of the play.
Yeah, so Pete, I'm going to agree with you, especially because they had that 4-game losing streak way back at the start of the season, right? They had like a pretty tough stretch, like Packers. They lost twice to the Seahawks. They had the Cards and then the Colts. And like at that point, the schedule softens up slightly to where it's like, all right, we've given Trey Lance 6 weeks. We could probably turn it to him and see what we've got. We're ready 2-4 on the outside of the playoffs looking in type of stuff, right? Like,
but they've already done the, incredible team, serviceable quarterback gets them to the Super Bowl, and it's not enough because they can't win a shootout with a high-powered offense from the AFC.
Nope.
I mean, I kind of feel like Garoppolo has played well, but I kind of feel like they got to that point where they played Lance, and Lance did not throw the ball well in that game. He ran a ton. He looked somewhat dynamic. Was not a good passer. I honestly kind of feel like it got to a point where Shanahan was like, he's not ready, one, but two, like, it's going to look real fucking bad if I run him out here the rest of this year and we lose a bunch of games because he's throwing a bunch of picks. Like, he can't throw the ball, and I traded all these picks for him. Like, I think like some of it was like self-preservation. They've left Garoppolo in. They might now make the playoffs. Things have went well as well with that decision. But it was like the conservative play to try to make the playoffs and lose in the first round or whatever, and then not get fired, and then have 2022 to hopefully get Lance like figured out so that he's playing good football in 2022. Because honestly, like it could have went really bad this year if they played Lance a bunch. I mean, I still really like Lance too. I'm not completely out on him either, but the way he looked in that one game, I think there's some fear that like, okay, if we run this guy out the rest of the year, he looks horrible for how much we gave up for him and all the talk this offseason. I'm going to get fired at the end of this year. Like he was kind of putting that position.
Which is kind of a sharp move. Like, you play to stay alive. Like,
right. It's easy to say you have a plan, like when you're making the pick, but when it comes down to, choosing who to start, that's going to give you who you think is going to give you the best chance to win games, then your plans kind of go out the window, right?
Ben's right. They're disappointed with what they saw. I mean, I think we're all a little disappointed with what we saw with him as a passer. He's not where he needs to be. And, I just looked up where Garoppolo is 6th in EPA per play this year. He's ahead of Herbert. He's ahead of Mahomes. Like, he's actually been very efficient. Now, within the context of this system that limits play volume, and he's not been very efficient or not been very accurate at all. Just 1.3 completion percentage over expected, which is like fine, but not. I think it's probably like 25th or something in the league. Like it's very whatever. But that to me is like the whole Shanahan magic. So you can get that out of Garoppolo. To Ben's point, you can get another year to see what you have in Lance. You get the full offseason with him. And also, like, they're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs at best with Lance. So it does kind of make sense on some level just to try to get there, see if you can get some juice out of Garoppolo. And maybe you're raising Garoppolo's trade price, right? Because you got to figure out what to do there. So,
I mean,
not fake sharp.
So I guess the point.
It's just a Shanahan defense.
So I mean, like Shanahan kind of had like a good cover that he could have used, which is like Kittle got hurt, my offense didn't work. I wanted Raheem Mostert, he didn't work out. Like he had like a bunch of baked in excuses as to why this was a bad year. There's been some key injuries on defense, so we just decided to treat it as a lost season, right? I like Pat's point about the raising Garoppolo's trade value, and like I guess the question is, a team like the Steelers, who are kind of built to win, could use Saints Garoppolo, right? The Saints are another team, but like, who's really offering what you would need and has the cap? Like, I don't think either team has like the cap space.
Rule's got to save his job now.
But dude,
he's on his man. He's done.
Is he better than Sam
see.
Darnold? I mean, I'm sorry. You just said his completion percentage over expectation isn't even that great. Like the 2 picks he threw last week.
Darnold is really bad.
Yeah. Like, still, like Garoppolo feels like the same move as Darnold, and
Darnold's is minus 5.2 on the season, which is 33rd, ahead of only Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Siemian. So Zach Wilson's actually been more accurate than Trevor Lawrence. My God.
Is Bridgewater accurate? Because there's another name that Carolina's just going to cycle in the new Bridgewater, maybe. Like maybe
Bridgewater's accurate. He ranks 9th in CPOE this year.
He always looks good in that stat. Like
Garoppolo's 17th.
Garoppolo's like the new Bridgewater. Yeah.
He's like basically he's between like Matt Ryan and Daniel Jones. You know what I mean? Like he's not. He's ahead of Jared Goff, but behind Kirk Cousins. Like,
and if anybody wants to see 3 really hilarious interceptions, go look up the 3 picks he's thrown in the last 2 weeks. Garoppolo, they all hit the defender in the chest. They were horrible plays. All 3 of them. He's done a lot well, but they were bad. He's thrown 3 really bad picks in the last 2 weeks.
He'll wash out in Carolina for sure, but that doesn't mean they won't trade for him.
Daddy had like a
every quarterback. They probably will.
Yeah, Jimmy does feel like a Steeler. When you said that, I mean, I tried that on for size in my head, and I was like a glove.
That's probably the better one.
So good.
Jimmy starting ahead of Mason Rudolph next year. That's right. That feels right.
Doing the Spider-Man meme though.
What about this one too? Trey Sermon. I mean, another just fucking bizarre run out for the 49ers there.
I can't believe Trey Sermon still got shooters, man. Like, what the heck? What's going on here?
Actually, I don't agree with this necessarily. Like, they took a shot in the 3rd round, and Josh Norris pointing out that they actually traded a 4th and a 5th to get that 3rd. So they spent a 4th and a 5th on Sermon and a 6th on Mitchell, and then Mitchell's good. Mitchell's good. So they're like, they saw that Mitchell was good before we did, and they're like, sweet, one of the 2 guys is good, and then they played the good guy.
That's fine, but it's the same thing with the Trey Lance thing. It's the using multiple picks to go.
That's what you should do.
Get an asset.
It's a 4th and a 5th.
You should grab 2 picks to go up and get a running back, Pat. No.
Yeah, with a 4th and a 5th round pick, that's exactly what you should do with those. That's like a really sharp move to take.
You could have taken
very low value
2 running backs with a 4th and a 5th round pick.
You are advocating
who would have been
right
just
now
as
for
good as Sermon.
To use 2 picks to draft a guy that you then don't use.
I'm saying if you use your 4th, 5th, and 6th round picks on a running back,
use them on 3 running backs.
Only 2 running backs.
Yeah, use on 3 running backs.
That now we're in agreement. You don't need
whatever. I'm saying
Trey Sermon.
If you want to use those on 2 running backs, that's totally fine. Especially if you find a really good running back. Like they did it. This was a hit. They crushed.
I will never sign off
on
draft
class for them in the running back position.
I mean, you better fucking nail the running back if you're using 2 picks.
Not if it's a 4th and a 5th, man.
Kyle Shanahan is terrible at like evaluating. Like he took Deebo Samuel ahead of AJ Brown and a whole bunch of other issues. He did the same thing
with Joe Williams back in the day. They make the same mistake over and over. It's a bad move.
That was a 4th round pick. That's fine.
They traded up. They used
whatever. They traded up. They trade.
Okay, so
there's just
how are
not
you defending trading up to draft bad running backs?
The guy who's never played.
Trey Sermon.
Some of the worst moves they've ever made.
They're not. They're like the expected value of the picks that you're killing him for trading away.
That doesn't mean the picks don't matter at all.
But like he took Trey Sermon ahead of Michael Carter and Ramondre Stevenson and Kenny Gainwell, like guys who fucking Devy players are like on ahead of Trey Sermon.
Sermon was a bad pick, I think. I wouldn't have taken Sermon there. You guys know how excited I was about Stevenson and Gainwell. Like Sermon's not my guy at all. But I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a 4th and a 5th, trading up, taking a stab, and then taking a guy with the
couldn't you have taken? You could have taken Gainwell and Stevenson with a 4th and 5th round pick.
Yeah,
It's the same thing in a fantasy draft. You wouldn't trade your 10th and 8th round pick to move up to draft a 6th round running back because the probability of that back hitting is similar to
you're
the
assigning
back
too
you
much
could just
value to
draft.
the picks there. It's like if you took your 16th and 13th and got an 11th. Which I might do.
This isn't a pick value discussion. It's the ability to be overconfident in what you assume is your scouting talent, and like Kyle Shanahan being arrogant in that. Like, he is assuming he understands what he's looking for, and he doesn't. Right? Like, and he's shown this multiple times.
He does. He got Elijah Mitchell in the 6th round as a perfect fit for his offense. It was a killer pick.
Michael Carter's a better
trade
pick.
up for him though.
Michael Carter's a better pick. Like that's the issue, right? Is that like Kyle Shanahan lacks the humility to understand, to accept that this is an actual leak, and instead he's actually making statements with it, right? I mean, and this is where it gets interesting, because he does do these things.
Pat, that whatever running back the 49ers put behind that offensive line crushes. You cannot say that trading up 2 picks to draft a guy that sucks was smart just because they hit on another guy. They could put Jeff Wilson back there. They're going to put Jermichael Hasty back there.
If you look at their entire running back class, if you look at the whole running back class, what they did, they had a great running back selection. Their running back selections were awesome. I just don't give a shit about, like, who else are you killing? Like, what other 4th and 5th round picks did you hate?
Oh my goodness, Michael Carter was a 4th round pick.
Anything out of him? Yeah, Michael Carter's fine. Michael Carter's Gio Bernard. Like, he's fine. You know, it's just not even Michael Carter. Like, you know, boo-hoo, you missed on Michael Carter. It's not that big of a deal.
But you're proving the point. All these guys are replaceable behind the 49ers offensive line. You don't need to spend 2 picks on them. Grab a guy on the practice squad.
The other pick could have been like, a linebacker or something that maybe winds up hitting. You get another bullet. Like, the whole point is we take multiple shots, right? Like, why use 2 picks?
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying, like, there's lots of teams that trade up, you know, and do stupid stuff, and they trade up in like the 1st round. And, you know, I think the trade up with the Lance thing, like, that could end up being much, much worse. You know, the orders of
it's going to be worse. It's
going
to be worse, dude.
The trade up of like a 4th or a 5th round pick, I think a lot of it comes from the fact that we thought Sermon was going to be the guy, and then he wasn't the guy. And now we're kind of like, what the fuck, man? Like, I think that's where some of the whole Twitter take on this comes from. Like, he blew it. He should have, like, why did he trade up for him then? Why did he trade up for him? Well, I don't know. He thought it was going to be good, and it turns out he's not good.
I mean, people did this with Joe Williams too, right? Like, why you trade up for Joe Williams? He pounding the table. Like, he loves this guy. And then Joe Williams is like, I'm never playing again, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not even in the camp that Kyle Shanahan's a fake sharp. I think we can easily detach Kyle Shanahan getting the most out of his personnel as a good coach and being a shitty GM, which he's proven to be a pretty shitty GM.
He is
another guy who went in the 4th, Juba Hubbard.
I want to go back to the Kyle Shanahan not playing Lance conversation just for a second, because Greg in the chat had this comment. I read it like a few minutes after we moved on, but it says Mike Shanahan traded up for Jay Cutler, finally put him in for a 7-4 team on the playoff bubble, and then they missed the playoffs. That would be the nightmare scenario for Kyle. I think, like, I didn't remember that or know that. Like, that's it was his fucking dad that did that. Just really good call by Greg. Good call by Greg.
Nice comment, Greg.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
All right.
Khalil Herbert went later. Like,
yeah, look, I mean, I don't know. This is like all very results based to some extent. Like, I just
Jamar Jefferson went later.
No, the point is they could literally grab
know...
any running back. Any running back would succeed.
That's not true.
Them.
That's not true.
I mean, if you don't know who the players are, you'd rather have 2 picks than 1 pick, though.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, fine. Like, if I was in charge there, I wouldn't have traded a 4th or 5th for
Ty
Sherman.
Johnson.
I would have traded 2 4ths for Ramondre. Let's get the guy.
There you go.
Pat, Ty Johnson would be balling the fuck out with 20 carries behind the 49ers offense.
But see, so this is...
and you know it, and I got you twisted because you're like, yes, he would.
I just don't think he'd ever get those carries. Like, is there something to the fact that they found a guy in Mitchell that they're actually treating like a workhorse when he never does that? And Mitchell looks really good, and he gets used as a receiver now some. Like, I think, you know, the idea that you can put anyone behind there and they'll be fine, like the running game will probably be fine, is true. But
a guy named Mitchell on the 49ers will get 15 plus touches on Sunday and will ball out.
He'll be fine. Like Jermichael Hasty's not going to necessarily ball out, you know?
We'll see. I mean, these running backs, they just come in and they ball out behind the 49ers offensive line. It's happened for 3 straight years.
Remember Raheem Mostert? Like everyone was convinced he was like a nothing, and then he showed up and just balled out.
If you want to talk about Shanahan missing an eval, I mean, they had that guy on the special teams for like 3 years until he was like 28 years old.
It sounds like you finally come around to Kyle Shanahan being very shitty at eval.
No, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, is Bill Belichick shitty at eval because he's missed on like 8?
Oh yeah,
he's the worst.
He's fucking.
Then why does he get so much credit for like getting rid of all these defensive players before they turn into dust?
Because he doesn't like. He doesn't do donkey shit.
He doesn't trade up.
Donkey shit. Yeah. Like he's not like he like understands like the risk probability of like hitting on players. Like you still need to get players, and it's not a trade value issue. It's not like what you're trading the value there. It's like the value is kind of flat. You just are like, I'm just gonna need to take shots on guys. I need warm bodies, and then see what they do.
This is what is triggering me as well, Nate. I can't tell if Pat's just being argumentative for the sake of being argumentative because it's such a weird take.
Why are you killing him for the Ayuk trade? Isn't that way worse?
No,
I'll kill him for everything. I'm just saying that trading
up
for
in the first round for a wide receiver put in the doghouse. My whole take is that 4th and 5th round picks don't matter that much, and I think it's a weird fantasy focused take to kill the guy for Sermon not working out
Patriots
because he hit on Mitchell. Like
the Patriots literally built a dynasty on 4th and 5th round picks mattering and stockpiling them.
The entire Legion of Boom came from the
they literally
3rd, 5th
traded
round.
back to
The
stockpile.
Seahawks are like the best example. Their whole fucking Super Bowl run was built on day 3 picks. Basically.
I don't understand where this take is coming. Like Trey Sermon was the only running back drafted in the 3rd, and he fucking sucks. Literally every running back drafted like later than him has been good.
But if they
and that's just this year,
we'd love it. We'd love it.
But they didn't.
Yeah, fine. But the move itself of like, there's a guy in the 3rd. I want to trade a 4th and 5th to go get the guy in the 3rd. Like, I just don't really. That doesn't bother me that much.
Pat is now a robust RB drafter. This is the new reality we live in.
I don't know. I mean, look,
I do get your point a little bit, Pat.
I get the point.
Look, I'm not saying take a 4th and 5th. You should always trade into the 3rd round. Like, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying if you trade out of the 3rd round for a 4th and 5th, that's a bad move. That's not what I'm saying either. On balance, that's going to be a better move over time. But the idea that, like, the guy traded up for a 4th and a 5th, he trades into the 3rd, he better be right, man. He better be right. Like, no, he doesn't have to be right. It's a 3rd round pick. Like, you miss on those all the time. He traded a 4th and a 5th to get there. You miss on those all the time. It is what it is. Like, it's not that big a deal to do that one time and be wrong. And like, so what if he was also wrong in the 4th round on Joe Williams? Like, you know, he found Matt Breida undrafted. He found Raheem Mostert undrafted. Like,
that's the whole point.
That part of it is the whole point.
He can find anyone. He can find Tevin Coleman in free agency.
But just because you can find those guys too doesn't mean you don't look for guys. Like, he also signed Tevin Coleman as a free agent. You just don't give 2 picks for them. That's the point.
I thought your point was you can't bash him for the Sermon pick in the same draft where he got a good running back. But if your take is that because he's so good at finding running backs that it's okay that he missed,
I'm saying he takes a lot of cheap. He takes a lot of cheap stabs at running back, but like, and some of them hit and some of them don't. And I don't have a big
cheap stab though. That's the point.
I think it is a cheap stab. That's my whole. Yes, it is. I think a 4th and a 5th round pick together are combined the value that's still pretty cheap. If you see something, they must have seen something in Sermon where they're like, "This." No,
but your argument is a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th round pick was the stab.
That's for 2 guys. But that's for 2 guys.
No, you one hit that 4th, 5th, and 6th to get one good guy.
So let me ask you that: do you think that Elijah Mitchell was worth a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th round pick for what they got?
No, not even close.
I think he probably
is.
Yeah, I think that's like. I mean, you
have a cost-controlled good running back for
those because they could have gotten Mitchell's production from anyone. They could have gotten Mitchell's production from a guy they signed.
That's what I don't buy. I think Mitchell's really good, and like he's
if they wanted to trade Elijah Mitchell, you don't think they would get a 4th, 5th, and 6th? Like I think.
I don't think they would.
Equivalent?
No one is trading for these guys.
No way.
No,
Fourth,
no
fifth, and a
fucking
sixth?
way.
There's no
I
chance.
get, yeah, but that's
It'd be close.
part like no one trades anything for anyone in the
A
NFL. So
rookie
it's like a
contract
hard.
running back.
Yeah,
If Elijah Mitchell was in this draft class, would someone spend a
They'd get
second
a
round pick
fourth.
on him?
They'd get a fourth for Elijah Mitchell right now. Like, why wouldn't they?
Oh, easily. But they might if Elijah Mitchell was
I didn't even
in
know
this
about
draft
that.
class, he might get drafted at 60.
All right, I need to go to bed. I can't argue this anymore. Thank you
This has been
to
fun.
Hasan and Blair tuning in. We will keep you guys posted on how our
Hey,
FBG
Hasan,
and KFFC.
Kylan Hill went in the 7th round.
Yeah, no. Justin Herbert. No, Khalil Herbert. Justin Herbert's younger brother went in the 7th as well.
There you go. Hasan, Blair, any plugs for you guys?
Javian Hawkins was undrafted, right?
He was
Well,
the guy
that
we
kinda
were
proves my
drafting
point.
over.
You
Cordell
can't just put
Patterson,
anyone
yeah.
back there.
Maybe not anyone.
All right, Hasan, you're not going to plug anything?
Read
Just
bad
Javian
stuff on
Hawkins.
NBC Sports Edge and read Stealing Signals. Please subscribe to the Substack, subscribe to Ship Chasing. That should about cover it, right?
Check
That's
out
good
Blair's-
hosting
Subscribe
right there.
to
Check out
Zero
check,
RB
check,
report.
check out Blair's
Stuff
stuff
on
on and yeah, I'm on NBC Sports Edge. Please read all that.
There you guys go. Also,
Read
Sam
everything.
Hoppins' stat chasing went up yesterday. Check out that. That's up on the podcast feed as well as the YouTube channel. We will see you guys back next week. Good luck in your Week 14 league championships. Hopefully, all of your houses are in order before weeks 15 through 17. We'll see you guys next week.